Chapter 22-23. Directly reaching the time realm. The two elders felt as if they had been struck by lightning, and their minds went blank. What was going on? At this moment Zhou Xian suddenly disappeared. The two of them did not dare to make a move in the study, but he did. The moment Zhou Xian disappeared, the two elders' pupils constricted. How fast was Zhou Xian's speed now? Surpassing everything. The old man in the lead suddenly raised his arms to block, and a terrifying force swept out from within his body. However, as soon as this force appeared, it was directly shattered by Zhou Xian's azure sword as if it was cutting tofu. The elder was directly dismembered by Zhou Xian's sword. And that was not the end. After dismembering the elder, he suddenly swept his sword horizontally. Boom! The other elder was directly dismembered by the green profound sword. In front of Zhou Xian, the soul of the elder who was dismembered by Zhou Xian's sword rapidly dissipated. He looked at Zhou Xian in disbelief. What happened to you? Zhou Xian smiled. That's what happened. The elder roared. You cheated. Zhou Xian frowned. Didn't you say that family background and backing are also a kind of strength? I used the sword my younger sister made for me. That is also a kind of strength. Elder, Zhou Xian smiled. Have a safe journey. After saying that, he slashed out with his sword. The elder was instantly dismembered. At this moment, old Zhang appeared at the door. Old Zhang hesitated for a moment, then said, They are all dead? Zhou Xian nodded. Old Zhang bowed slightly. Sorry for disturbing. After saying that, he turned and left. Outside the door, old Zhang leaned against the wall, her face blank. Is this what the pavilion master meant by cheating? It's great. I want to have it too. One had to say. Old Zhang was dumbfounded at this moment. Two Insight Realm experts. And they were gone just like that. This was ridiculous. In the study, Zhou Xian sat cross-legged on the ground and looked at the azure profound sword in his hand. Xiaota suddenly asked, Do you regret it? Zhou Xian shook his head. Xiaota was puzzled. That is? Zhou Xian grinned. This feels great. Xiaota, Zhou Xian suddenly sighed in a low voice. If he were to fight with his own strength, he definitely wouldn't be able to defeat the two of them. He didn't even have the confidence to defeat one of them. However, when he used the Qingxian sword, he could instantly kill a cultivator in the insight state. In front of the power of time, the insight state was like an ant. If I can't beat him, I'll rely on my sister to kill him in one move. After a long moment of silence, Zhou Xian shook his head lightly, and then he put away the azure profound sword. Xiaota said, Young lord, aren't you going to use the green profound sword? Zhou Xian thought for a while and then said, If the enemy isn't too much, I won't use the green profound sword. Xiaota was a little curious. What you said isn't too much. What would be considered too much? Zhou Xian said calmly, Gang up on people like me. Xiaota said, I understand. Zhou Xian suddenly got up and left. After a while he came to a river and laid on the ground. Then he smeared some blood on his body, making himself look like he was seriously injured. Xiaota was a little puzzled. Young lord, what are you doing? Zhou Xian said, Don't speak. Xiaota. At this time a terrifying aura suddenly appeared in the sky. The next moment the space-time was torn apart and an old man walked out. The old man's gaze directly fell on Zhou Xian. Where are they? Below. Zhou Xian hurriedly got up and looked at the old man with caution. Who are you? The old man frowned slightly. You're that person with the mandate of heaven? Zhou Xian was a little afraid. Brother Daoling. After saying that, he suddenly turned and ran. He was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye he disappeared into the horizon. On the spot the old man was a little confused. He escaped. He escaped just like that. After a while the old man shook his head. What the hell? How can someone like him be called the person with the mandate of heaven? After saying that, he disappeared on the spot and headed towards the Dao clan. The Dao clan. The old man directly charged into the Dao clan and his right hand pressed down. Boom. A terrifying pressure swept down from the sky. In an instant the entire world within the Dao clan boiled. At this time a figure rushed up from below. Boom. In the sky, the terrifying pressure suddenly vanished like smoke in thin air. The old man looked at Dao Ling, who was not far away. Where are the people from my Shi clan? Hearing that, Dao Ling frowned slightly. What the hell? The old man stared at Dao Ling. You killed them. Dao Ling was slightly puzzled. What are you talking about? A ferocious look flashed in the old man's eyes. You're still playing the fool? Die. After saying that, he suddenly disappeared on the spot. The spacetime in front of Dao Ling suddenly exploded. In the next moment, a terrifying force swept over. Dao Ling's face instantly turned gloomy when he saw that. He took a step forward, pressed his right hand together and pointed forward. After that he punched again. Rumble. The spacetime in front of Dao Ling shattered and was obliterated, and the old man was blasted tens of thousands of meters away. As soon as he stopped, Dao Ling disappeared on the spot again. The old man's pupils constricted and he blocked with his arms. Boom. A terrifying force blasted against the old man's arms. Rumble. The old man's arms shattered and then he was pushed back tens of thousands of meters. As soon as he stopped, he suddenly raised his head. At this moment, Dao Ling had appeared above him and a ferocious look flashed in Dao Ling's eyes. Get lost. As soon as he spoke, he suddenly stomped his foot. Boom. Countless experts of the Dao race watched as space was instantly obliterated where Dao Ling's foot landed, and it transformed into an immaterial area. The old man moved over 30 kilometers back, and he just stopped when a fist suddenly smashed down towards him. Bang! Everyone watched as the old man transformed into nothingness and was forcefully obliterated. An expert at the Insight realm had been crushed. Countless experts of the Dao race felt their blood boil as they watched this scene. Their patriarch had actually used 5 moves to kill an expert at the Insight realm. His strength was invincible. Dao Ling suddenly said, "Investigate why he came here." An old man who stood behind him left without making a sound. It wasn't long before the old man appeared here once more and he bowed slightly. Patriarch, according to our knowledge, 2 experts of the Shi clan went in search of Xian just now, but they suddenly vanished. On the other hand, he first went to look for Xian, but we don't know why he came to our Dao race. It's definitely because of Xian. As he spoke, the old man spoke with slight rage. That kid is truly inhuman. Xian. Dao Ling fell silent for a moment before he said, "The Shi clan probably intends to act against us." The old man was slightly puzzled. "Patriarch, there's no enmity between us and the Shi clan, so why are they targeting us?" Dao Ling slowly closed his eyes. The struggle for karmic luck. The struggle for karmic luck. He knew that the battle for karmic luck was unavoidable. Only the living could enjoy all the karmic luck of the Grand Dao. The old man spoke in a low voice. "Patriarch, then what should we do now?" Dao Ling's face was emotionless. "Head to the universe." The old man was astounded. "To the universe?" Dao Ling nodded slightly. They had to head to the universe, otherwise the battlefield would be at the Dark Observance universe. At that time it would be extremely disadvantageous to the Dao race. Presently the Dao race had just risen to prominence, and it couldn't endure the torment of the Shi clan. The old man intended to say something, but Dao Ling suddenly said, "I've made up my mind. Dao Chu, from this moment onward, you're the vice patriarch of our Dao race and everyone in the race must obey your orders." As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished into the horizon. Dao Chu looked up into the sky while worry filled his eyes. Somewhere by a river, Xian, who was lying on the ground, suddenly opened his eyes. Not far in front of him stood a man. It was Dao Ling. Dao Ling looked at Xian, not saying a word. Xian smiled. "So it's the patriarch of the Dao race. I've heard a lot about you." Dao Ling went straight to the point. "The Shi clan won't let us go. Instead of waiting for them to come, why don't we go and find them directly?" Xian smiled slightly. "You're afraid that the battlefield will be at the Dark Observance universe, because if the battlefield is at the Dark Observance universe, it will be extremely disadvantageous to your Dao race. You should know that your Dao race has just returned from the burial ground, and what you need is time to develop, right?" Dao Ling nodded. "Yes." Xian smiled. "You're quite honest." Dao Ling looked at Xian. "This time 3 of their Vipassars have died. Next time it might be time or even stronger. Are you sure you want to sit here and wait for death?" Xian fell silent. Dao Ling continued. "Just tell me, do you feel good seeing that Shi Tian?" Xian grinned. "I don't." Dao Ling nodded. "Then what are we waiting for? Kill him." Xian said. "Then let's kill him." With that, the 2 of them disappeared on the spot. They did it immediately. They headed to the Heavenly Cycle universe. On the way, Yi Xian suddenly asked, "What kind of place is the burial ground?" Dao Ling was silent for a moment, then said, "It's an ancient ruin. It's rumored that a great battle took place there." Yi Xian was a little puzzled. Why didn't the major forces of the Dark Observance universe chase after you and kill you all? Dao Ling said calmly, "There's an evil aura there. They're afraid of death, so they don't dare to chase after you." Yi Xian frowned slightly. An evil aura? Dao Ling glanced at Yi Xian. "Do you know about the evil spirit race?" Yi Xian shook his head. Dao Ling said, "They're a very powerful race. They're not from the heavenly cycle universe but from another universe. They were defeated and escaped to the Dark Observance universe, but they were sealed and suppressed." Yi Xian was a little curious. By who? Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian. "Do you think I know everything?" Yi Xian. Dao Ling retracted his gaze. "Let me ask you. Did you kill those 2 Insight Realm cultivators?" Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling frowned slightly. "Those 2 are Insight Realm cultivators. If you were to fight with them, there would definitely be a big commotion, but why is there no commotion at all?" Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling, a little puzzled. "What commotion do I need to make to kill an Insight Realm cultivator? Isn't it just a matter of 1 sword? Why do you need to use a second move to kill an Insight Realm cultivator?" Dao Ling was silent for a moment, then said, "I also killed an Insight Realm cultivator just now." Yi Xian blinked his eyes, and then, Dao Ling said seriously, "I only used half a move." Yi Xian. P.S. It's the 5th chapter today. I'm just complaining. If you don't like it, don't read it. As mentioned before, I've returned to my hometown, so I don't have much time to write. Hence the outburst was delayed. Then it was spat out. That's to be expected, huh? Everyone knows that I'm married. I have a son, huh? He's more than a year old. But today I realized that I haven't spent much time with him. He would call me mother, aunt, sister. But he doesn't really call me father. This is because I lock myself in my room to write every morning until noon. After lunch, I'll take a nap and continue writing in the afternoon. If I write fast, I can finish in the afternoon. If I don't, I'll continue writing at night. It's like this almost every day. I don't have much time to spend with him. Since I've been updating constantly, it means that I have to write every day. I've never taken a break, never. I know that in many people's eyes, writing is very easy. Just write tens of thousands of words. You might not know that sometimes I struggle for more than an hour to finish a chapter. It's just a few crosses. Sometimes when I reach a bottleneck and get stuck, it's so painful that I want to die. Actually, this kind of pain can only be understood by those who have written before. Those who haven't written before won't understand. They'll only think that I'm fooling them again. Finally, the purpose of my writing is very simple. I hope that when everyone is pooping in the morning, I can turn on my phone and read a few chapters. If you feel happy, hot-blooded, or touched when you read the book, then I'll be satisfied. Of course, I know that there's always the possibility of getting hit by water. I can imagine a certain brother who is pooping in the morning. As he reads, he suddenly curses, "Boss Egg, you're a fake. Damn it, you're making 2 more chapters." I hope that this sword can accompany all of you. Of course, I also know that this company will come to an end. One day the invincible Qing'e, the defeated unfettered one, the cheerful Yang Yi, the shameless Yi Xian, the mischievous Arya and Xiao, they will disappear from everyone's daily lives. Chapter 22-24. Half a move. Yi Xian gave Dao Ling a thumbs up. "Awesome, awesome." Dao Ling nodded. "Not bad." Yi Xian suddenly said, "Let's compete in speed?" Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian. "Speed." Yi Xian nodded. Yi Xian smiled. "Let's see who can reach the heavenly cycle universe first. Shall we compete?" Dao Ling shook his head. "No." Yi Xian frowned. "Why?" Dao Ling said indifferently, "You must be up to something." Yi Xian fell silent. Dao Ling suddenly said, "I've fought with Shirtian before. I have a certain understanding of his strength. Do you want to know? If you do, give me some benefits." Yi Xian waved his hand. "I'm not interested in him." Dao Ling frowned. Yi Xian said again, "I'm invincible. Do whatever you want." Dao Ling gave a thumbs up. "Awesome." Yi Xian laughed. "Brother Dao Ling, you're a heaven-defying one. You're born to defy the heavens, right?" Dao Ling shook his head. "Heaven-defying is just an adjective. It means that I'm a monster. I'm not going to destroy the heavens." Yi Xian nodded. I understand. The two sped up. In the starry sky, the two tore through the starry sky. Several days later, the two left the border of the dark observation cosmos. The two stood in an unknown starry sky. From where they stood, they could not see the end of the starry sky. The two fell silent. After a long time, Dao Ling said softly, "There's another universe outside the dark observation cosmos." "Where is the end of the universe?" Xian suddenly smiled. "The end of the universe is where the heart and feet have yet to reach." Dao Ling was slightly stunned. He turned to look at Xian. "Where the heart and feet have yet to reach." Xian nodded. Dao Ling fell silent. He seemed to have understood something. Xian frowned slightly. "Damn it, this guy wouldn't break through just because of what I said, right?" Then Dao Ling suddenly looked at Xian. "Brother Yi, I didn't expect you to be a cultured person." Xian was speechless. A moment later, the two of them tore through the galaxy and disappeared into the distance. Not long after the two of them disappeared, a shadow suddenly appeared in the field. The illusory figure gradually solidified. It was a young man. The young man wore a bright red robe and had a faint smile on his face. This smile was somewhat evil. At this moment, an old man appeared beside the young man. The old man looked at the distant end of the starry sky. "What do you think?" The corner of the young man's mouth curled up. "I'm interested in the Dao clan's clan leader, Dao Ling. He's indeed a heaven-defying being of this generation. Not only has he achieved insight at such a young age, but his aura is also very strong." The old man asked, "What about the other youth?" The young man fell silent for a moment before he said, "I can't see through him." The old man nodded slightly. "This person is especially valued by Pavilion Master Qin Guan. He's definitely not an ordinary person." The young man frowned slightly. "Who exactly is Pavilion Master Qin Guan?" The old man shook his head. "I don't know. In any case, he's an existence that my evil spirit race can't afford to offend." The young man narrowed his eyes. "He's that strong." The old man looked at the young man and said seriously, "Evil Lord, don't underestimate this person. He's far more terrifying than you can imagine." The evil lord nodded slightly. "Understood." The old man nodded and said, "This battle for providence is an opportunity for our evil spirit race. We must seize this opportunity." The evil lord smiled. "Second uncle, who do you think will win out of the three of them?" The old man pondered for a moment before saying, "It was originally Shi Tian. After all, he has the supreme overlord of the Shi clan behind him. But now," the evil lord said, "Xian and Dao Ling have joined forces." The old man nodded. The evil lord asked, "Actually, the outcome of this battle for providence has already been decided." The old man looked at the evil lord who said softly, "Shi Tian has the Shi clan behind him and is already in an invincible position. Because no matter what, it's impossible for Xian and Dao Ling to kill him. Background is also a kind of strength. Xian and Dao Ling lost at the starting point." The old man nodded slightly. "That's true." The evil lord said, "Let's go. Let's go to the heavenly cycle universe and take a look at this battle for providence." With that, the two of them disappeared at the end of the galaxy. In the distance at the end of the starry sky. On the way, Dao Ling asked, "Brother Yi, are we going directly to the Shi clan?" Xian nodded. Dao Ling was a little hesitant. "Won't we be ganged up on if we go like this?" Xian smiled. "We're going to openly challenge Shi Tian. Under such circumstances, how could the Shi clan have the nerve to gang up on us? Usually, such supreme forces are very concerned about their reputation. They won't do something as shameless as ganging up on us." Dao Ling nodded. "Understood." 2 hours later, the two of them arrived at a star domain. The Shi clan. Both of them fell silent as they gazed at the extraordinary formation that was formed from numerous stars. "The Shi clan seems to be much stronger than we imagined." Dao Ling gazed at Xian. Xian said, "They probably know that we're here." Dao Ling glanced at the surroundings. "There's no movement." Xian glanced towards the distance and then he said, "Brother Dao Ling, go challenge them." Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and said, "Why don't you go?" Xian roared with laughter. "Fine, I'll go." As soon as he finished speaking, he took a step forward and roared with laughter. "Shi Tian, didn't you want to kill us? We're here today. Please kill us. Please kill us." His voice rumbled like thunder and reverberated through the starry sky. Meanwhile, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared in front of them. The middle-aged man gazed at them in silence. Xian smiled. What about Zhou Xian? The middle-aged man's expression was calm. Both of you have balls to actually dare to come to my Shi clan by yourselves. What? Are you looking down on my Shi clan? Xian smiled. Cut the crap. Ask Zhou Xian to come out here. Dao Ling nodded. Ask him to come out here. The middle-aged man was about to speak when roaring laughter suddenly resounded from the depths of the starry sky. A moment later, a figure flashed through the starry sky, and then a young man appeared in front of Yi Xian and Dao Ling. The person that had arrived was precisely Zhou Xian. Zhou Xian glanced at them and then he smiled and said, "Both of you can come at me together." Together. The middle-aged man's brows knit together slightly when he heard this. He's underestimating them too much. He was just about to stop them, but it didn't take long for him to stop. At this moment he understood Zhou Xian's intentions. Force. What was most important in a battle between two armies? It was their aura, of course. Zhou Xian intended to crush Yi Xian and Dao Ling with his force as soon as he entered the battlefield. As for fighting both of them, if Yi Xian and Dao Ling had the slightest sense of shame, then they wouldn't choose to fight both of them. Geniuses. How proud were they? Not to mention that these two weren't ordinary geniuses. Yi Xian and Dao Ling exchanged glances. Is there such a good thing? In the next moment, both of them vanished on the spot. They attacked together. Both Zhou Xian and the middle-aged man were stunned when they witnessed this scene. What's going on? Zhou Xian reacted extremely quickly. He hurriedly took a step forward and smashed his fist forward, and it collided with Dao Ling's fist. Bang! As soon as their fists collided, the space here was instantly obliterated. Dao Ling retreated repeatedly. At practically the exact same instant that both of them retreated, a ray of light suddenly appeared behind Zhou Xian, and it was just at the right moment. Zhou Xian's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he swiftly turned around and raised his right arm to block. Bang! The ray of light shattered and Zhou Xian was pushed 3 kilometers back. As soon as he stopped moving, a terrifying aura swept towards him from behind. Dao Ling. A wisp of a ferocious expression flashed through Zhou Xian's eyes as he turned around again. He didn't retreat, nor could he. He suddenly pressed the fingers of his right hand together and then he tapped forward. This tap of his finger directly collided with Dao Ling's fist. Bang! In an instant, the expansive space where he and Dao Ling resided had been transformed into nothingness, and then a terrifying force erupted like a volcano. Rumble! Both Dao Ling and Zhou Xian retreated explosively at the same time. However, at the instant that Zhou Xian retreated, a ray of light slashed down onto the back of his head. Bang! Zhou Xian's figure was blasted over 10 kilometers away. However, he wasn't dead because his head had actually forcefully resisted Yi Xian's attack. However, a bloody mark had appeared on his head. Zhou Xian had just stopped moving when Dao Ling suddenly appeared in front of him like a ghost, and then Dao Ling suddenly raised his leg and swung it. It was a very simple move, but it carried a strand of terrifying force. Just a single sweep of his leg caused the starry sky in an area of over 100 kilometers to be blasted into pieces. For the first time, a solemn expression appeared in Zhou Xian's eyes when he faced Dao Ling's terrifying punch. But in the next moment, that solemn expression transformed into a ferocious expression. He raised his right hand and then his entire right arm started burning. In the next moment he suddenly smashed it towards Dao Ling's leg. He was going head-on against it. He had no choice but to do so because Yi Xian and Dao Ling had joined forces, and their attacks were practically perfectly linked together. So he wasn't able to dodge at all. Bang! Dao Ling was instantly blasted over 100 kilometers away by Zhou Xian's attack, and the space around him was instantly incinerated and obliterated. In the end it transformed into nothingness. He'd been completely obliterated. On the other hand, Zhou Xian wasn't able to gain the upper hand, and he retreated explosively. However, he just started retreating when a ray of light slashed down onto his head. Bang! Zhou Xian instantly felt like a heavy blow had struck his head and he felt dizzy. After that, numerous rays of light suddenly slashed down towards him. Bang! 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 As he retreated explosively, Zhou Xian had suffered at least a few thousand attacks. Zhou Xian suddenly roared furiously, and then he clenched his fists tightly while a strand of terrifying force shot into the sky from within him. Rumble. A few thousand rays of light were instantly blasted apart. But right at this moment, Dao Ling suddenly appeared in front of Shi Tian, and then he smashed his fist against Shi Tian's face. Bang! Shi Tian was instantly pushed over 30 kilometers back. As soon as he stopped moving, his body instantly split apart like a spider web. However, that wasn't the end of it. At the instant that he stopped moving, a ray of light had slashed down towards his face. Rumble. This attack blasted Shi Tian's body into pieces, and he retreated explosively again. Xian was about to attack again, but he suddenly turned around and swung his sword. Bang! An expanse of light was blasted apart, and then Xian was pushed over 10 kilometers back. It was the middle-aged man who'd attacked. At the same time, Dao Ling was being obstructed by an old man. Both of them frowned. Xian gazed at Shi Tian and said, "Are you a sore loser?" Shi Tian stared fixedly at Xian. Xian frowned slightly. "What are you looking at? Don't put on an act if you're a sore loser." Dao Ling glanced coldly at Shi Tian. "A sore loser? T." Chapter 22-25. Shi Tian's expression was extremely unsightly. Actually, he'd only asked them to attack him together because he wanted to crush Xian and Dao Ling with their imposing aura. However, he hadn't imagined that they would actually be so shameless and really attack him together. Damn it. Are they so shameless? Moreover, he hadn't imagined that their joint forces would actually be so terrifying. Xian suddenly said, "Are we going to fight or not?" Shi Tian gazed at Xian. "One-on-one." Xian frowned slightly. "Didn't you ask us to attack him together?" Shi Tian spoke furiously. "I want a one-on-one battle right now." Xian's expression was calm. "Are you a sore loser?" Shi Tian's gaze was slightly ferocious. "Don't the two of you have any sense of shame?" Xian was slightly puzzled. "It was you who asked us to attack him together." Shi Tian stared fixedly at Xian. "Now, I want a one-on-one battle." Xian turned around to look at Dao Ling. "He wants a one-on-one battle." Dao Ling thought for a moment and said, "How shameless." Xian was speechless. Shi Tian suddenly said, "Indeed, I have to admit that I can't defeat your joint forces. However, do the two of you not even have the courage to fight me in a one-on-one battle?" At this moment, Shi Tian's expression had recovered its calm, and the restlessness and ferocity from before had vanished from his eyes. Moreover, he'd taken the initiative to admit that he couldn't defeat the two of them so that his mental state would be flawless. He was a genius of the heavens in the end, so it was impossible for his mental state to be spoiled by a few words from Xian and Dao Ling. Xian glanced at Shi Tian. Needless to say, Shi Tian was extraordinary indeed. He was unlike all the opponents he'd encountered in the past. Not only was he strong, his mental state was practically flawless, and it was impossible for words to defeat him. Xian turned around to look at Dao Ling. "You or me?" Dao Ling thought for a moment and said, "I'll do it." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly took a step forward. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying aura swept out from Dao Ling's body. In the next moment, he slowly put his palms together and closed his eyes. Gradually, a huge Dharma appeared behind him. The Dharma was tens of thousands of meters tall and spanned across the galaxy. It was a magnificent sight. This respect Dharma idol was none other than himself. Looking at Dao Ling before him, Xian recalled something Qin Guan once said. With himself as the boundary. Xian slowly closed his eyes. He had previously ignored this sentence, or rather he had not thought about it in detail. Now that he thought about it carefully, it was boundlessly profound. In the distance, Shi Tian stared at Dao Ling. He opened his palm. Condense. Boom. Shi Tian's fleshly body began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. At that moment, Dao Ling opened his eyes. Behind him, the gigantic Dharma idol opened its eyes as well. A terrifying pressure that shook the heavens emanated from its eyes. In an instant, the entire galaxy started to split apart. The starry sky was actually unable to withstand the pressure emitted by this pair of eyes. Moreover, this was merely pressure. Countless experts of the Shi clan were extremely shocked in the shadows. He's merely at the insight realm, but his imposing aura far surpasses the insight realm. How terrifying! Dao Ling suddenly raised his right hand and then he suddenly swung it down and roared furiously. Sky split. The gigantic Dharma idol suddenly raised its right hand. As soon as it did, the starry sky seethed and started to be obliterated. Bang! The enormous palm suddenly descended from the depths of the starry sky. In an instant, the galaxy in an area of a few million kilometers was obliterated. Moreover, the countless Daos, techniques and matter within this galaxy were obliterated as well. At this moment the Milky Way was as small as an ant in front of this palm. A ferocious smile arose on the corners of Zhou Xian's mouth, and then he suddenly clenched his right hand tightly. In an instant, countless mysterious talismans appeared in the obliterated starry sky. These talismans were like a waterfall that covered the starry sky, and every single one of them contained an unknown and mysterious energy. Moreover, every single one of these energy actually possessed a completely different attribute. Moreover, every single talisman contained a terrifying will. As soon as these mysterious talismans appeared, murmurs actually resounded in the surroundings. The murmurs seemed to have come from the distant primeval times, and it was breathtaking. Zhou Xian suddenly raised his head and roared furiously. The grand Tao of all life. As soon as he finished speaking, he smashed his fist towards the sky. Bang! In an instant, the countless talismans in the surroundings converged into the shape of a fist, and then it shot into the sky to meet the descending palm. A moment of silence ensued. Rumble. Suddenly, a deafening explosion resounded through the heavens and the earth. After that, the gigantic Dharma idol and the talisman fist exploded into pieces, and a terrifying wave of energy instantly swept through the all-heaven starry sky. At this moment the entire starry sky was reduced to ruins. It was as if the starry sky had been forcibly erased and it no longer existed. However, the mysterious murmurs from before still lingered in the surroundings. At this moment, both Zhou Xian and Dao Ling were directly sent into the realm of death. There was no substance in this realm. Both of their faces were extremely pale. Not only that, their physical bodies no longer existed and their souls were so weak that they were almost transparent. Both of them were seriously injured. In the realm of death, Zhou Xian stared fixedly at Dao Ling. There is no substance in this realm and the 10,000 Daos do not exist, but, as soon as he finished speaking, he slowly clenched his right hand. Bang! Suddenly, the murmurs in the realm of death became louder, and each sound carried a strange power that could suck one's soul. Dao Ling frowned. Zhou Xian stared fixedly at Dao Ling. This is the will of an expert that I have refined, and it is not restricted by this realm. As soon as he finished speaking, the will began to corrode Dao Ling outside. Yi Xian watched the scene in silence. At this moment, a middle-aged man nearby looked at Yi Xian. It's a fair duel. You're not thinking of interfering, are you? Yi Xian did not speak. Interfering? He did not want to interfere. Since it was a fair duel, it should be fair. If Dao Ling died, it meant that he was not as skilled. If it was him, Yi Xian, he would do the same. Seeing Yi Xian's silence, the middle-aged man sneered. In the faraway realm of death, Dao Ling frowned slightly. This was because he realized that his soul was beginning to disappear bit by bit. Corroding will. If it was outside, a puny will would not be able to corrode him. However, this was the realm of death and he could not use any power here. Suddenly, Dao Ling seemed to have thought of something and he clenched his right hand. Will was not restricted. Will was not material. Although he did not have the will of others, he had his own will. Thinking of this, Dao Ling slowly closed his eyes. At this moment his soul was becoming more and more illusory. Desperate situation. A real desperate situation. At this moment, a mysterious force suddenly appeared around Dao Ling. Will. His own will. He was using his own will to resist Zhou Xian's will. Zhou Xian frowned slightly when he witnessed this scene. Dao Ling's soul that had been corroded gradually started to recover. Moreover, his will was growing stronger and stronger. Dao Ling raised his head and gazed at Zhou Xian. My will is firm like a rock. As soon as he finished speaking, Dao Ling's soul started to tremble. He's about to break through. The expressions of the Zhou clan's experts in the dark instantly became unsightly when they witnessed this scene. If one didn't die in a hopeless situation, then it was rebirth. Obviously Dao Ling was rebirth right now. Zhou Xian's eyes narrowed and he slowly clenched his right hand. Right at this moment, a shadow suddenly charged into the realm of death, and then it smashed its palm towards Dao Ling, who was about to break through. This shadow directly disregarded the restrictions of the realm of death. Only the time energy of a time realm expert could disregard the realm of death. Because time wasn't a material thing. This sudden and unexpected event caused Dao Ling's expression to change violently. He'd never imagined that someone would actually attack him at this moment. Moreover, it was a time realm expert. Perhaps he would be able to resist it if it was in the outside world, but how could he resist it now? After all, only his soul remained. Moreover, it was within the realm of death and he was completely restrained. My life is over. That was the only thought that remained in Dao Ling's mind. Right when the mysterious expert was about to slap Dao Ling to death, a ray of light suddenly appeared in front of Dao Ling. Bang! The ray of light shattered, but Dao Ling was over 1 kilometer away, and Zhou Xian was standing in front of him. Dao Ling gazed at Zhou Xian. You saved me. Zhou Xian said, isn't that obvious? Dao Ling was speechless. Zhou Xian looked into the distance and a middle-aged man stood there. Zhou Xian sized up the man and then he said mockingly, fairness? Is this the fairness your Shi clan speaks of? Don't you think it's laughable? The middle-aged man's expression was calm. Fairness? My Shi clan is being benevolent by talking about fairness with you. If we don't, then that's how it should be. Zhou Xian said in a low voice, you're a time realm expert at any rate. How can you say such shameless words? The middle-aged man said mockingly, shameless? You're really childish, chosen one. Let me ask you, what's the use of shamelessness in this world? Can it increase your cultivation or bring you cultivation resources? You've lived for so long, yet you still want to talk about shamelessness? Has your cultivation reached your ass? Zhou Xian fell silent. This world was a little nonsensical and a little absurd. Damn it. The middle-aged man suddenly glanced at the sword in Zhou Xian's hand, and then he said, the reason you're able to freely enter the death realm is probably because of this sword. Interesting. Zhou Xian fell silent and it was unknown what he was thinking. Meanwhile, Shi Tian suddenly spoke coldly, Patriarch, why are you doing this? Do you think that I can't defeat this heaven-defying expert? This middle-aged man was the Shi clan's patriarch, Shi Yuan. Shi Yuan shook his head slightly. Shi Tian, you should look further ahead and not just focus on these two. You want to fight for karmic luck and karmic luck. We can use the simplest method to kill the two of them right now, so why are you wasting time with them? Just now, this heaven-defying expert was about to break through. If this continues, there will be too many variables and it won't be good for us. Shi Yuan spoke in a low voice. I can kill him. Shi Yuan shook his head. You did have a chance at the beginning, but now he's about to break through. If he really attains the time realm, then you won't be able to kill him and we might not be able to keep him here either. We can't take this risk. As soon as his voice resounded, another 2 Shi clan experts appeared within the seamless realm. They were time realm experts as well. 3 time realm experts. Shi Yuan stared at Zhou Xian and Dao Ling. There is no such thing as fairness in this world. You want fairness, but you don't have the qualifications to talk to us about fairness. This fairness, if we want to give it, we can give it. If we don't give it, then you have to bear with it. Understand? Zhou Xian, Dao Ling suddenly said, Brother Yi, protect me for a while. I'm about to break through. Zhou Xian looked at Dao Ling. How long? Dao Ling thought for a moment, then said, 1 month. Zhou Xian suddenly asked, what did you say before? Dao Ling was stunned, then said, protect me for a while. Zhou Xian suddenly said, scram. Dao Ling. P.S. Thank you everyone for your support. Every vote, every comment, it's all support. Thank you everyone. Chapter 22-26. 1 month. Zhou Xian was speechless. Damn, can I hold on for a month? Although he has the green profound sword and can reach the time realm directly, the problem is that there are 3 genuine time realm experts here. Moreover, who knows if the Shi tribe has other time realm experts? Hold on for a month. Even holding on for a day is too much. At this time, Dao Ling suddenly said, 10 days. Zhou Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. 10 days? Dao Ling nodded, yes. Zhou Xian said solemnly, you're not tricking me? Dao Ling said seriously, 10 days. After 10 days I will break through. At that time we can join forces and stop the Shi tribe. 10 days. Zhou Xian fell silent, still hesitating. Dao Ling suddenly asked, Brother Yi, do you have any brothers? Zhou Xian shook his head. I only have 1 sister. Why are you asking this? Dao Ling hurriedly said, From this moment onwards I am your brother. Yi Xian's face darkened. Damn, this person is really shameless. At this time Shi Yuan suddenly said, Kill. Kill. As soon as he said that, he and the 3-time realm experts charged at Dao Ling and Yi Xian. Yi Xian stared at Dao Ling. 10 days I can't stop you. 1 hour I will give you 1 hour. If you don't break through in 1 hour we will die together. As he said that, he directly sent Dao Ling into the Xiaota. As soon as he entered the Xiaota, Dao Ling was stunned. In the next moment, Dao Ling couldn't help but praise, awesome. As he said that, he hurriedly sat down and continued to break through. Yi Xian looked at the 3 charging at him and his eyes flashed with savagery. Boom. The green profound sword suddenly trembled, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. Insight. However, it was not over yet. In the next moment Yi Xian directly went from insight to the time realm. All the experts of the Shi clan were stunned by this scene. He had reached the flowing time realm just like that. Yi Xian suddenly charged forward and swept out with his sword. An expanse of sword light swept out like a waterfall that swept through the starry sky. This sword strike contained the terrifying energy of time, and it was capable of annihilating all things. Rumble. This sword directly forced the 3-time realm powerhouses back, but Yi Xian also instantly retreated hundreds of thousands of feet. As soon as he stopped, his face turned pale. The power of time. Yi Xian was shocked. He realized that he really couldn't fully control the power of time. He couldn't maintain it for too long in this realm. Although there were no side effects, this was equivalent to him overdrafting himself in advance. He couldn't continue for too long or else he would collapse. In the distance Shi Yuan looked at Yi Xian in disbelief. What kind of freak are you, you? Right at this moment Yi Xian suddenly turned around and vanished on the spot. Run. Yi Xian immediately used the Xianxia sword to teleport. Shi Yuan's expression changed drastically and he hurriedly said, Lock down. As soon as he finished speaking he stretched his right hand forward and clawed. Bang. The space and time where Yi Xian had disappeared in the distance suddenly became distorted. In an instant millions of miles away Yi Xian, who was traveling in space and time, suddenly narrowed his eyes. He turned around abruptly, drew out his sword and slashed. An expanse of sword light descended, and the space around him was instantly torn apart. Rumble. A powerful force blasted Yi Xian over 100 kilometers away. As soon as he stopped moving, Shi Yuan and the others were still in front of him and Xian was there as well. Xian stared fixedly at Yi Xian. How shameful. You're actually using external sources of strength. How truly shameful. Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, You 3-time realm experts are fighting me, yet you're not allowing me to use external sources of strength? You're going too far. Xian was about to say something when Yi Xian suddenly said, Shiran, do you dare to fight me in single combat? Xian spoke coldly. Why? Meanwhile Xian suddenly said, He's trying to buy time so that Dao Ling can break through. Don't fall for his trap. Xian frowned when he heard this. Yi Xian suddenly roared with laughter. How laughable. Xian, to think that you call yourself the #1 genius in the entire universe, yet you're actually afraid that your opponent will break through. How laughable. Xian's expression suddenly became slightly unsightly. Yi Xian continued, We clearly agreed to a one-on-one battle, yet you went back on your word and launched a surprise attack against Dao Ling. Xian, don't you feel that such actions are shameful? Xian stared fixedly at Yi Xian. You want to destroy his Dao heart? You. Xian suddenly said, Patriarch. I think that he isn't the one who wants to destroy my Dao heart, but you. Xian's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this and he gazed at Xian. What are you trying to say? Xian spoke fiercely. What am I trying to say? Motherfucker. We agreed that I would fight Dao Ling in single combat, yet all of you interfered. What's the meaning of this? If news of this were to spread, then others would think that I, Xian, am a sore loser. Xian stared fixedly at Xian. You have to think about the overall situation. You. Big my ass. Xian suddenly cursed furiously. Patriarch, I respect you, but your actions today are very shameful to me. They came to my Shi clan from the Darkwatch universe with the intention of fighting me fairly, yet you directly mobilized the experts of your clan to deal with them. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by others? A wisp of a cold glow flashed through Xian's eyes. Xian, you have to remember your status. You aren't the patriarch yet, you're just the junior patriarch. Shi Tian suddenly roared with laughter. Junior patriarch. Haha. Junior patriarch. He glanced at the surroundings as he spoke and then he said, Elders, don't all of you think that the patriarch's actions are shameful? Meanwhile, Shi Ru sighed softly. Shi Tian, on many occasions the process isn't important. What's important is the outcome. So long as you kill them, then you'll be the winner and my Shi clan will rise to prominence. The other elders hurriedly tried to persuade him as well. But Shi Tian shook his head. No, that isn't the Tao I seek. The Tao I seek is to have a clear conscience. As far as I'm concerned, such actions are shameful. As he spoke, he gazed at Shi Tian and said, Allow Dao Ling to break through and then I'll fight him in single combat. If I lose, then all of you can do whatever you want. However, no one from the Shi clan is allowed to act against him until I die. Yi Xian glanced at Shi Tian and he was quite surprised. Just like him, Shi Tian's values were very upright. Shi Tian gazed at Shi Tian and said, Do you know what you're doing? Shi Tian's face was expressionless. I do. Shi Tian fell silent for a long time and then he said, Shi Tian, you're the most monstrous genius in the history of my Shi clan, and you'll be the future patriarch of my Shi clan. But do you know what it takes to be a qualified patriarch? It's to put the clan first in everything. When he spoke up to this point, he glanced at Yi Xian and said, You only have yourself right now and you only think about yourself. Do you know that both of them aren't as simple as you think? Especially that fellow with the sword. That sword of his was able to improve his cultivation to the eternal realm. Such ability is simply heaven-defying. If my Shi clan doesn't kill them today, then they'll continue growing. Most importantly, the Zhou clan will definitely try to rope them in. I can't allow them to leave the Shi clan alive and be used by the Zhou clan. The experts of the Shi clan nodded to themselves when they heard this. Actually, they felt that such actions were quite shameless in the beginning, but they didn't dare ask about it. After all, it was the patriarch's decision. Now, when they heard Shi Yuan, they finally understood that the patriarch had other intentions. Indeed, if Yi Xian and Dao Ling were allowed to leave the Shi clan, then the Zhou clan would definitely try to rope them in. Once they were used by the Zhou clan, then it would be extremely disadvantageous to the Shi clan. When they thought up to this point, all of them couldn't help but feel a trace of admiration as they gazed at Shi Yuan. The patriarch really knows how to look at the bigger picture. Shi Tian is still a little too young. Shi Tian fell silent. Shi Yuan continued, I know that you're proud and arrogant, and you feel that such actions go against your heart and are shameful. But do you know that if they leave the Shi clan and are used by the Zhou clan, then if conflict arises between our Shi clan and the Zhou clan in the future, then how many of our clansmen would die at their hands? Shi Tian's expression was quite unsightly. Shi Yuan continued, They're already such monstrous geniuses right now. If the Zhou clan fosters them with all its might, then do you dare to say that you'll definitely be able to surpass them? Do you know how terrifying their destructive strength would be if both of them attain the eternal realm? Shi Tian clenched his fists tightly while an extremely unsightly expression appeared on his face. Shi Yuan shook his head slightly. He glanced at the surroundings and said, Elders, will all of you listen to me or this future patriarch? Make your choice. If you choose him, then I, Shi Yuan, will resign from the position of patriarch right now and stop interfering in the affairs of the Shi clan. If anyone else dared to question him, then he would just beat that person to death. But Shi Tian was different. He was the most monstrous genius in the history of the Shi clan. So if Shi Tian dared to arouse any killing intent, then the elders of the Shi clan would be the first to object. Moreover, Shi Tian had already been decided on as the next patriarch. So once Shi Tian attained the eternal realm, then the authority of the Shi clan would immediately be transferred to him. Shi Tian was too monstrous. He was monstrous to the point of being able to change the fate of the Shi clan. The expressions of the elders changed slightly when they heard Shi Yuan. If they really chose Shi Tian now, then the Shi clan would have to face a split. Moreover, the situation of the Shi clan hadn't been decided yet, so they had to rely on Shi Yuan. One of the elders hurriedly said, Patriarch Shi Tian is still young, so it's normal for him to be unable to figure out many things. Why get angry at him? The other elders hurriedly acted as mediators as well. At a time like this, the Shi clan absolutely couldn't be split apart. Regardless of whether it was Shi Tian or Shi Yuan, both of them couldn't be left behind. After all, the Shi clan wasn't invincible right now. So once the Shi clan split apart, then it would be completely devoured by the Zhou clan. Shi Tian and Shi Yuan didn't speak. The elders felt quite awkward as they tried to mediate because they didn't seem to have any intention of backing down. Right at this moment, Shi Ru suddenly pointed at Yi Xian. I think that we can put aside the internal affairs of our clan for now. Let's kill him first and then we can sit down and talk things out. We're all a family, so there's nothing that can't be discussed. The other elders hurriedly chimed in. Right, let's kill that shameless swordsman first. Kill the swordsman. Obviously, the best way to resolve the internal conflicts of the Shi clan was to shift the conflict to the outside world. All the experts of the Shi clan gazed at Yi Xian with undisguised killing intent in their eyes. Yi Xian suddenly gazed at Shi Tian. Shi Tian, I think that you should change your way of thinking. If I were you, I would kill Shi Yuan and annihilate the ancestors, and then I'll be the master of the Shi clan from now on. All the experts of the Shi clan were speechless. Chapter 22-27. Hearing Yi Xian's words, the expressions of the Shi clan's experts became unsightly. This swordsman was truly inhuman. He actually dared to drive a wedge between Shi Tian and the Shi clan. How sinister was he? Some of the Shi clan's experts were about to attack, but they were stopped by Shi Yuan. The current Yi Xian was already at the time realm. Ordinary experts would be courting death if they attacked him. Shi Yuan looked at Yi Xian and chuckled. Yi Xian, I have to say that both you and Dao Ling surprised me. Dao Ling was able to undergo a nirvanic rebirth in a hopeless situation. His talent is extremely rare. As for you, Yi Xian smiled. What about me? Shi Yuan stared fixedly at Yi Xian. You have someone backing you, right? Yi Xian nodded. I do indeed have someone. Shi Yuan smiled. Is he strong? Yi Xian smiled. Not bad, not bad. He's just a little stronger than me. Shi Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly and a faint smile appeared on his face. No one knew what he was thinking. At this moment, one of the Shi clan's experts suddenly said in a low voice, Patriarch, this person is stalling for time. Yi Xian smiled. Elder, it isn't just me who's stalling for time. Your patriarch is stalling for time as well. Hearing this, everyone looked at Shi Yuan. Shi Yuan's face was expressionless. I don't know what method he used to advance to the time realm, but this method definitely has side effects. We just need to wait. After a period of time, this secret technique of his will disappear. Not only that, but he might even become weaker. As he spoke, he looked at Yi Xian. Young Master Yi, am I right? Yi Xian nodded. Yes. At this moment he was overjoyed in his heart. Would there be side effects when he used the Azure Profound Sword to improve himself? Actually, there wasn't. The only drawback was that he still couldn't fully control time energy. As long as he used time energy just as Shi Yuan said, he would indeed become weak. However, if he didn't use it, he wouldn't become weak. Yi Xian was overjoyed. If Shi Yuan and the other two really attacked together, he really didn't know what to do. Although he had the green profound sword, these three were genuine flowing time realm cultivators. Even if they were to exhaust him, they could still exhaust him to death. The surroundings suddenly fell silent. The experts of the Shi clan were waiting. One must know that Shi clan did not know of Xiao Ta's existence. Thus Shi clan was in no hurry at all. Yi Xian was also waiting. Meanwhile, Shi Yuan suddenly said, Young Master Yi, according to what I know, you're acquainted with Pavilion Master Qin. Yi Xian nodded. Yes. Shi Yuan stared at Yi Xian. What's your relationship? Yi Xian smiled and said, Friends. Shi Yuan chuckled. Friend? Young Master Yi, are you joking? Yi Xian was speechless. He realized that if he, Yi Xian, spoke the truth, no one would believe him. Shi Yuan suddenly said, Young Master Yi, what's the relationship between you and that Pavilion Master Qin? Clearly he was afraid of Qin Guan. Yi Xian said, Friends. Shi Yuan stared at Yi Xian. Impossible. As far as I know, she has always been a lone wolf and doesn't have any friends. It's impossible for you to be her friend. Yi Xian frowned. Then what do you think our relationship is? Shi Yuan was silent for a moment, then said, I don't know. Yi Xian, Shi Yuan said again, Young Master Yi, if you think that with Miss Qin Guan here my Shi clan will let you off, then you might be thinking too much. Yi Xian smiled and said, Clan leader Shi Yuan, you keep mentioning Miss Qin Guan. It's obvious that you're very afraid of Miss Qin Guan. He finally saw through it. Shi Yuan was very afraid of Qin Guan. When he thought up to this point, Yi Xian smiled and said, "Clan leader Shi Yuan, I'll be very frank with you. There's someone behind me and it's someone you can't afford to offend. Let's stop fighting and make peace. How about it?" Shi Yuan chuckled. How laughable. Yi Xian was speechless. See, no one believed me when I used my trump card right at the beginning. Meanwhile, Shi Ru suddenly said, "Clan leader, something's off." As he spoke, he sized up Yi Xian. He doesn't show any signs of suffering from backlash. Shi Yuan frowned when he heard this. He'd noticed it as well. Up until now, Yi Xian's expression was calm, his aura was stable, and there wasn't a trace of disorder. At this moment, in the distance, Yi Xian suddenly coughed violently. Then his face suddenly turned a little pale. Shi Yuan and Shi Ru were stunned by this scene. Some of the Shi clan's experts instantly smiled. Looks like Yi Xian is suffering from backlash. Shi Yuan gazed at Yi Xian and asked, "Is he pretending?" Shi Ru spoke in a low voice, "It's possible." Suddenly, a wisp of blood seeped out from the corner of Yi Xian's mouth. Shi Ru and Shi Yuan were stunned once more. "He's bleeding?" Yi Xian suddenly looked at Shi Yuan and roared with laughter. "Clan leader Shi Yuan, I've heard that you're the #1 expert in the heavenly cycle universe. I'd like to seek guidance from you. Please." Shi Yuan stared at Yi Xian. "You can't hold on for much longer." Yi Xian's eyes opened wide and he seemed to be angry from embarrassment. "Bullshit. I can still fight. Come over here, let's fight one-on-one." Shi Yuan smiled and said, "Young Master Yi, you'll ruin your mental state by being so impatient." Yi Xian stared at Shi Yuan as if he wanted to kill Shi Yuan with his gaze. The more Yi Xian acted like this, the happier the Shi clan's experts were. At this moment, another wisp of blood seeped out from the corner of Yi Xian's mouth. Yi Xian hurriedly wiped the blood off his mouth. Seeing this scene, the Shi clan's experts couldn't help but laugh. In the end, it's an external enhancement, not the right way. Shi Yuan smiled and said, "Young Master Yi, if you can't hold on, then don't hold on." In the distance, Yi Xian was silent, but his body gradually began to tremble. Yi Xian slowly closed his eyes and thought, "Dao Ling, how much longer do you have? If I continue to pretend, I'll vomit out all my blood." After a moment of silence, Dao Ling said, "Brother Yi, I've encountered some difficulties." "Yi Xian," Dao Ling said in a low voice, "there are many problems that I can't understand no matter how I think about them. Brother Yi, I need more time." Yi Xian said angrily, "You need more time? Do you think I can challenge the entire Shi clan alone?" Dao Ling smiled bitterly. "Brother Yi, I'm in a difficult situation. I've never come into contact with the time realm. Today is the first time I've come into contact with it. Thus, there are many things that I'm confused about." Yi Xian said, "It's merely the time realm. What's there to be confused about?" As he spoke, a notebook landed in front of Dao Ling. Dao Ling was stunned. "Brother Yi, this is..." Yi Xian said calmly, "This is a notebook that I wrote. It contains some of my views and understanding of the time realm. Take a look." Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, then opened it. A moment later, his eyes suddenly narrowed. "Holy shit, Brother Yi, did you really write this?" Yi Xian's expression was calm. "What else could it be?" Dao Ling gulped and said in a trembling voice, "Brother Yi, you're pretty awesome. Previously I thought you were an ignorant and incompetent idiot. I'm ashamed. I'm very ashamed." "Idiot?" Yi Xian. Dao Ling hurriedly said, "Brother Yi, I'm about to break through. Hold on for a while longer. When I come out, you and I will join forces and annihilate the Shi clan with a flick of our fingers." Outside, Yi Xian stood silently, spitting blood from time to time. At this moment, the clothes in front of his chest were already dyed red with blood. At first glance, he looked a little miserable. The smiles on the Shi clan's experts' faces became brighter and brighter. It was obvious that Yi Xian couldn't hold on for much longer. Shi Ru, who was beside Shi Yuan, frowned. "Something's not right." Shi Yuan looked at Shi Ru. "What's wrong?" Shi Ru stared at Yi Xian. "He's only spitting blood, but his aura is very stable. Moreover, although he looks angry, his eyes are calm. I think he's pretending." Hearing this, Shi Yuan looked at the distant Yi Xian. After a moment of silence, he slowly clenched his right hand. At this moment, Yi Xian's aura suddenly began to weaken. His aura was gradually weakening. Shi Yuan was stunned when he saw this, and then he roared with laughter. What? Young Master Yi, are you going to suffer a backlash? In the distance, Yi Xian's eyes were closed and his fists were clenched tightly. Shi Yuan roared with laughter. Young Master Yi, you used a secret technique to advance to the time realm. The side effects of such a secret technique will definitely be very strong, right? Yi Xian glanced at Shi Yuan but didn't speak. Shi Yuan grinned. Young Master Yi, don't worry. I won't act against you right now. We can wait. Yi Xian suddenly said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, can we have a chat? Shi Yuan smiled. Chat? What does young Master Yi want to talk about? Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, there's no enmity between us. I don't think it's worth it for us to get into a fight to the death over such a small matter. Shi Yuan sneered. But I think it's worth it. When cutting weeds you have to pull out the roots. Haven't you heard of that? Moreover, if it were you, Yi Xian, who was stronger today, would you talk to us? No, you wouldn't. Yi Xian sighed softly. Shi Yuan said again, Young Master Yi, in this world there are many times where there's no right or wrong. There are only standpoints. The appearance of the two of you will threaten my Shi clan. So the two of you deserve to die. Do you understand? Yi Xian fell silent for a moment and then he nodded. I understand. I will remember what you said today. Shi Yuan laughed. You want to take revenge? Unfortunately, you won't have the chance. Yi Xian suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His body bent as if he was about to collapse. At this moment, Shi Yuan's eyes narrowed. He gave a signal, and in the next moment, one of the Shi clan's time realm experts directly vanished from the spot. A cold light slashed towards Yi Xian, who was about to collapse. Shi Yuan looked around warily just in case someone tried to save Yi Xian. In truth, he was guarding against the Zhou Xian clan. He was afraid that the Zhou Xian clan would forcefully rescue Yi Xian and Shi Yuan. Just as that time realm expert arrived in front of Yi Xian suddenly raised his head. In the next moment he charged forward, slashing out with his sword. Seeing Yi Xian's sudden attack, that time realm expert's expression instantly changed. Was this guy pretending? Boom. A wave of sword light suddenly exploded. In the next moment, that time realm expert was directly sent flying hundreds of thousands of feet away. Just as he stopped, his body directly shattered. The Shi clan's experts were stunned. Shi Yuan was also startled. In the next moment he said savagely, You're pretending. Yi Xian blinked and then he spat out another mouthful of blood. I can't take it anymore. Patriarch Shi Yuan, I really can't take it anymore. My heart hurts. I feel so uncomfortable. Everyone. P.S. Haven't you noticed? I haven't asked for votes in 2 days. As soon as I ask for votes I get scolded. I don't dare to ask anymore. Chapter 22-28. He was pretending. The experts of the Shi clan had extremely unsightly expressions on their faces. At this moment they finally understood. Yi Xian was putting on an act. But the problem was that Yi Xian hadn't suffered any backlash from using a secret technique to advance to the time realm. Shi Yuan couldn't figure it out. How could this be possible? Yi Xian stood in the distance with a faint smile on his face. Patriarch Shi Yuan, do you have many questions? Shi Yuan gazed at Yi Xian. Why didn't you suffer any backlash? Yi Xian roared with laughter. Do you want to know? Shi Yuan nodded. I'm very curious. Yi Xian grinned. I won't tell you. Shi Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he suddenly vanished on the spot. The space in front of Yi Xian suddenly split into an enormous spatial rift that was 30 kilometers wide, and then an enormous hand stretched out from within the spatial rift. Rumble. As soon as the enormous hand appeared, the starry sky here trembled violently, and then it exploded apart like a piece of glass that had been struck by a hammer. It was an extremely shocking sight. In front of that giant hand, Yi Xian seemed extraordinarily small and insignificant. However, there was no fear in his eyes. Yi Xian slowly closed his eyes. Focus. Be at ease. At this moment Yi Xian felt like everything around him had fallen silent. Only Yi Xian and the sword in his hand remained in this world. At this moment the gigantic hand slammed down. As soon as it descended, the starry sky started to be obliterated. Yi Xian suddenly opened his eyes, stomped his right foot on the ground, and transformed into a ray of light that shot into the sky. A sword howl shook the starry sky, and then a ray of light slashed against the enormous hand. Rumble. The enormous hand trembled violently, but it didn't shatter. Moreover, it continued to descend. Bang! Xian crashed down from the starry sky, and an enormous bottomless abyss appeared on the ground as soon as he descended to the ground. Wherever the giant hand passed, the space was forcefully erased. In the starry sky, Zhou Xian frowned. Something was wrong. The next moment his pupils suddenly constricted. He's trying to escape. As he spoke, he charged downwards. Heaven and earth were directly torn apart, forming a huge hole. The speed was too fast. At this moment Xian had already disappeared into the abyss using the green profound sword. In another unknown region of the starry sky, space had suddenly split apart and then a ray of light flew out from within it. It was Xian. Xian looked around after he had come out. Then he disappeared from where he was. However, at this moment the space and time where he had been exploded. Then Xian, who had been traveling through space and time, was forced out of the space and time by a dreadful force. As soon as Xian came out, Zhou Xian appeared in front of him. At the same time there were two other time realm experts. The time realm expert whose body had been destroyed by him earlier had already recovered. At this moment, this expert was staring fixedly at Xian as if he wished for nothing more than to eat Xian's flesh. He'd actually been tricked just now. That was simply an extraordinary humiliation. Xian glanced at Zhou Xian's group of three. The rules of the Jianghu one-on-one. Zhou Xian ridiculed. One-on-one? Why should we fight you one-on-one? If you have the ability, then call for help as well. Xian hesitated for a moment and then he said, "That's not too good, right?" Zhou Xian's expression was calm. "Come call." Xian shook his head. "I won't." Zhou Xian's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why?" Xian thought for a moment and then he said, "Qing'er's appearance won't end well." "Xiao Ta." Zhou Xian slowly clenched his right hand. "The person behind you isn't Pavilion Master Qingguan." Obviously he asked Xian to call for help because he wanted to see the power behind Xian. Actually, up until now he still had some misgivings. Why? Because he hadn't figured out Xian's true background. A person like Xian definitely had an extraordinary background, and there was definitely a powerful power behind him. If he didn't figure out this power, he wouldn't be able to rest easy. Xian was slightly annoyed. "Patriarch Zhou Xian, I've already told you. The person behind me is very very strong, really very strong. He can fight even better than Pavilion Master Qingguan. Can you believe me this once? I can swear that this time I really didn't lie to you. Believe me, the person behind me is truly invincible." Zhou Xian looked at Xian. "You're trying to trick me." Xian's expression froze. "Faster, me." At this time Zhou Xian said again, "You've always emphasized the strength of the person behind you. What a joke. Just like the rich people in the secular world, rich people never say they're rich. You said that the person behind you is invincible, but obviously you're just bragging. I guessed right? Xian," Zhou Xian continued, "I can almost confirm that although you have a power behind you, it definitely isn't very strong. Since that's the case, then Xian, prepare to die." As soon as he finished speaking, his right hand suddenly grabbed upwards. Boom! In the depths of the starry sky, a thunderclap sounded. In the next moment, countless dark divine lightning surged out. As these divine lightning appeared, the entire starry sky trembled violently, and countless matter began to be annihilated bit by bit. Xian frowned slightly. What was this? At this time Zhou Xian suddenly roared, "Condense!" Boom! In the depths of the starry sky, countless dark divine lightning suddenly condensed into a giant sword tens of thousands of feet long. The moment the sword condensed, rumble! The starry sky became illusory and all things were obliterated. The starry sky here wasn't able to endure the might of this enormous sword at all. Some of the experts of the Shi clan retreated in unison because the might of this sword was something that even Insight Realm experts couldn't endure. Obviously Zhou Xian intended to kill Xian. That was normal. After all, Zhou Xian had nothing to worry about anymore. Down below, Xian was struck dumb when he saw that horrifying giant sword. "What's that?" Zhou Xian suddenly pointed furiously at Xian. "Xian, you're a swordsman as well, so I'll make you die beneath this sword condensed from divine lightning of time." As a swordsman, dying at the hands of a swordsman isn't a bad fate. Yi Xian hesitated for a moment before he said, "Do you want to try something else? This sword might be useless against me." Shi Yuan started laughing from extreme rage. "Is that so? Then let me see how you're going to block this sword. Yi Xian, allow me to tell you that I spent tens of thousands of years to refine this divine lightning from the sands of time, and I've never utilized this move against anyone. Aren't you honored that you're the first?" As soon as he finished speaking, his right hand suddenly descended, slash. As soon as he finished speaking, the enormous sword suddenly slashed down from the depths of the starry sky. Everything in its path was obliterated. The divine lightning of time was capable of obliterating all techniques, all Daos and all matter. Hundreds of thousands of zhang away, the powerhouses of the Shi clan all had extremely solemn expressions on their faces. At this moment, they were already hundreds of thousands of zhang away from Yi Xian and Shi Yuan. However, when they saw the giant sword falling down, all the powerhouses felt despair. True despair. Even Insight Realm experts were tiny like ants before the divine lightning of time, and they weren't even able to arouse the slightest desire to resist. On the other hand, the two-time realm experts had solemn expressions on their faces. This move was too terrifying. After all, the divine lightning of time was refined from the river of time, and it itself represented the passage of time. Even though Shi Yuan hadn't refined much of it, it was still extremely terrifying. Everyone looked down at Yi Xian. Before that bolt of divine lightning of time, Yi Xian was tiny like an ant on the ground, and he wasn't even worth mentioning. However, Yi Xian's expression was very calm and he didn't panic at all. Everyone was looking at Yi Xian. They naturally didn't think that Yi Xian would just sit there and wait for death. Yi Xian would definitely release some sort of ultimate move. Everyone watched silently. Shi Yuan was also staring fixedly at Yi Xian. He wanted to see what kind of ultimate move Yi Xian was going to release. However, when the enormous sword arrived above Yi Xian's head, Yi Xian suddenly spread open his arms and said excitedly, "How can I accept this?" Under everyone's gazes, the sword slashed down on Yi Xian's body. Boom! Yi Xian's body trembled violently, and then the enormous sword was directly absorbed by Yi Xian. "It's gone." Everyone was stunned. Loud thunder but small raindrops? Shi Yuan, who stood opposite Yi Xian, was completely dumbfounded. "It's gone? What's going on?" At this moment his mind was buzzing. This was the divine lightning of time that he had refined for tens of thousands of years. It's gone just like that? In the distance, Yi Xian was madly absorbing the energy of the enormous sword. At this moment he was extremely excited. Divine lightning of time. That was the power of time. But now he could directly absorb the power of time. Yi Xian's aura rose explosively like a volcano that couldn't be stopped. Breaking through? At this moment even Yi Xian was slightly stunned. He hadn't expected that he would actually break through, but he was at the time realm now. If he were to break through now, what realm would he break through to? The next realm hasn't come out yet. Yi Xian was in a dilemma. At this moment Xiao Ta suddenly said, "Young master, you can directly stabilize the time realm. So long as you can, then you can be considered to be at the time realm in the future even if you don't use the green profound sword." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Can I?" Xiao Ta said, "Let's give it a try." Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he nodded. "Let's give it a try." As he spoke, he started to madly absorb the terrifying energy within his body, and then he transformed it for his own use. In the distance, Shi Yuan suddenly said in a daze, "This? You're absorbing the divine lightning of time that I refined?" Yi Xian glanced at Shi Yuan and hurriedly shook his head. "No, you're wrong. Yi Xian." Shi Yuan suddenly roared furiously, "Why are you able to absorb my divine lightning of time? Why is it ineffective against you? Why?" Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Perhaps it's too little and its power isn't enough. Why don't you release 2 more bolts of divine lightning of time? Perhaps it'll have an effect." Shi Yuan stared fixedly at Yi Xian. "Who exactly are you? Why are you able to use external objects to raise your cultivation to the time realm without suffering any backlash? Moreover, you're able to ignore my divine lightning of time. Who exactly is the person behind you?" Yi Xian said seriously, "Have you heard of Heaven's mandate?" Shi Yuan's expression was incomparably gloomy. "No." Yi Xian said very seriously, She is invincible. Shi Yuan roared furiously, do you think I'm stupid? Would I believe your nonsense? Yi Xian, Shi Yuan's expression was ferocious. Who exactly are you? Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he said, I'm your father, all right? Chapter 22-29. Yi Xian was completely speechless. Damn it. No one would listen to you if you spoke the human language. You had to speak the lies. Shi Yuan's expression grew even more ferocious when he heard Yi Xian. How dare you insult me? Yi Xian sighed softly. I really didn't intend to insult you. You're just too fucking stupid. I can't take it anymore. I really think that even Tianyi is smarter than you. He's just arrogant, but you're really an idiot. Tianyi was speechless. Shi Yuan was about to speak when Shi Ru suddenly spoke in a low voice. Patriarch, don't lose your mind. He was able to discern that Shi Yuan's mind was in a state of chaos, and it was extremely dangerous. Because it was easy to make a wrong decision at a time like this. Don't make a decision while angry. Shi Yuan slowly closed his eyes when he heard Shi Ru, and his expression started to gradually calm down. Needless to say, he was really infuriated by Yi Xian. That swordsman is truly infuriating. Shi Yuan opened his eyes. At this moment his mental state had returned to normal. Meanwhile Yi Xian suddenly said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, do you still have more of that divine lightning of time from before? Give me some more. Shi Yuan's face twitched when he heard this and his eyes turned red. His defenses had almost been broken through. Divine lightning of time. That was something that he had refined bit by bit over the years. He'd spent tens of thousands of years. After all, even he didn't dare rashly enter the river of time. Because it was truly too terrifying. Every single time he entered the river of time to refine divine lightning of time, he'd been extremely careful because he was deeply afraid of making a mistake and losing his life. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation, he'd finally refined a bolt of divine lightning, and he'd utilized it as the core to strengthen it. It could be said to be one of his strongest trump cards, and even experts in the same realm of cultivation would find it difficult to resist it. He'd utilized the divine lightning of time with the intention of killing Yi Xian. However, he hadn't expected that Yi Xian would actually absorb it. Tens of thousands of years of hard work had been given to someone else. Thinking of this, Shi Yuan's heart bled. In the distance, Yi Xian suddenly laughed and said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, what kind of expression is that? Was it just a bolt of time divine lightning? Do you have to be so petty? Shi Yuan suddenly roared, Yi Xian, even if the person behind you is truly invincible, I will definitely kill you today. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly vanished on the spot. The space-time in front of him exploded and a terrifying aura swept over. In his rage, Shi Yuan's strength had actually become even stronger. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. His body was still frantically absorbing the energy. It was not a good time for him to make a move. But he had no choice but to act. Right at this moment, a spear suddenly blocked in front of Yi Xian. Boom. The spear trembled violently and then it was bounced off. But in the next moment a hand grabbed it. Yi Xian turned his head. The person who attacked was precisely Xianxia. When he saw Xianxia, Yi Xian was stunned. Little Xianxia's expression was calm. Break through in peace. As soon as she finished speaking, she held her spear and walked towards Shi Yuan. Yi Xian didn't waste his breath and directly returned to Xiao Ta. When he arrived in front of Dao Ling opened his eyes and glanced at Yi Xian. Brother Yi, what are you? Yi Xian said indifferently, breaking through. Dao Ling was stunned and then he said, time? Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then he said, Brother Yi, I remember that you're only at the outer realm. You haven't even attained Vipassana. Yi Xian frowned slightly. Who said that one can't cultivate above one's realm? Dao Ling's expression froze. Yi Xian blinked. Brother Dao Ling, have you never cultivated above your realm before? Dao Ling was speechless. Yi Xian said, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and cultivate. My wife might not be able to hold on for long. As soon as he finished speaking, he slowly closed his eyes. Dao Ling was silent for a moment and then he asked again, Brother Yi, what you said just now about cultivating above one's realm, is that true? Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling frowned slightly. That doesn't make sense. Yi Xian sighed softly. There are no obstacles in cultivation. It's just that the human heart is too complicated and has too many thoughts. That's why there are obstacles in cultivation. If you can be as pure and flawless as I am, you can do it too. As soon as he finished speaking, he discarded all distracting thoughts and began to concentrate on absorbing the time god thunder. Pure and flawless? Dao Ling glanced at Yi Xian and frowned slightly. This brother Yi didn't look like a pure and flawless person. Instead, he was a little shameless. Or could it be that being shameless could make one pure and flawless? As he thought of this, Dao Ling secretly decided that he would try being shameless in the future. Outside, Shi Yuan looked at the approaching Xianxia and frowned slightly. Who are you? Xianxia didn't waste any words. She directly disappeared on the spot, and her spear tore through the sky like lightning. Vipassana. Shi Yuan frowned slightly when he saw this. A Vipassana dared to attack him? Shi Yuan flicked his sleeve. Bang. Xianxia was forced back along with her spear. However, Shi Yuan also retreated explosively. Shi Yuan's eyes were filled with disbelief. You? In the distance, Xianxia didn't waste any words. She suddenly charged forward, and the spear in her hand suddenly left her hand. A cold light instantly arrived in front of Shi Yuan. Besides being fast, Xianxia's spear also carried an aura of invincibility. A cold light flashed in Shi Yuan's eyes. He opened his right hand and a spear appeared in his hand. In the next moment he charged forward and stabbed out with his spear. In the past he was also a spear cultivator. Of course he didn't focus on the spear Dao. At his level weapons were dispensable to him. Bang! A wave of spear light suddenly erupted and in the next moment both of them simultaneously retreated explosively. As she retreated, Xianxia slowly closed her eyes. In the next moment she suddenly stomped her right foot on the ground. The starry sky trembled and she stopped. She looked at Shi Yuan who had also stopped, and then she opened her red lips. Martial Dao, godly connection. Bang! A terrifying aura suddenly swept out from her body, and a powerful aura instantly swept through the starry sky. In an instant, Xianxia's aura rose explosively. She hadn't reached the time realm, but her aura was infinitely close to the time realm. In the distance, Shi Yuan's expression became extremely unsightly. Secret technique. Xianxia looked at Shi Yuan. She didn't waste any words and suddenly disappeared on the spot. Bang! The starry sky was directly torn into countless pieces. At this moment, although Xianxia wasn't at the time realm, her strength was infinitely close to it. After all, even though she didn't have as many resources as Yi Xian, she was still martial god An's disciple. How could she not have any trump cards? Xianxia's spear attack caused Shi Yuan's expression to instantly change drastically. Because he noticed that Xianxia's spear attack could actually destroy matter. It can destroy matter even without the energy of time? Shi Yuan was quite stunned. He was sure that Xianxia's attack didn't contain any energy of time, but the might of her spear attack could destroy matter. That's even possible? Shi Yuan felt like his brain wasn't strong enough. At this moment, Xianxia's spear had arrived in front of him. A ferocious expression flashed through Shi Yuan's eyes. I refused to believe it. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately put his spear away and clenched his right fist. In an instant, the starry sky around him trembled, and then some time energy surged towards him. As soon as the time energy appeared, the starry sky here gradually became illusory. Shi Yuan suddenly charged forward. Die. As soon as he finished speaking, he smashed his fist forward. Rumble. It was like an earthquake had struck the heavens and the earth, and the entire starry sky instantly collapsed and was obliterated. Meanwhile, the powerful force within his fist surged towards Xianxia's spear. It was a head-on collision. Bang. As soon as the spear and fist collided, it caused the world to be obliterated, and a strand of force instantly swept out. In the blink of an eye, the starry sky in an area of hundreds of thousands of kilometers was instantly obliterated. Even the dark matter here was forcefully obliterated and ceased to exist. On the other hand, Xianxia and Shi Yuan retreated explosively at the same time. As soon as the two terrifying forces collided, they created an even stronger force, and both of them were unable to resist it at all. As he retreated explosively, Shi Yuan suddenly roared furiously, "Kill her! Kill her!" At this moment Shi Yuan was finally in slight panic. Because he noticed that while this woman didn't possess the energy of time, her strength wasn't weak to the energy of time. It was truly too terrifying. First it was Dao Ling, then it was Yi Xian, and now it was this woman. 3 extraordinary monstrous geniuses. This caused him to feel slightly terrified. He had to eliminate them. At this moment he didn't intend to crush them on his own and establish his prestige. The reason he'd chosen to fight Yi Xian and Xianxia in single combat was because he wanted to crush them on his own and establish his might. However, he hadn't imagined that both of them were actually more monstrous than the other. He absolutely couldn't allow the 3 of them to grow. As soon as Shi Yuan finished speaking, the 2 time realm experts in the distance suddenly vanished on the spot. In the distance, Xianxia, who was still retreating explosively, frowned slightly, and then she suddenly swept her spear. Rumble. The spear light had just appeared when it was directly shattered, and Xianxia retreated explosively once more. In the blink of an eye, she'd retreated over 100 kilometers away. However, before she could even stop, a strange afterimage soundlessly appeared behind her. Another time realm expert. Including Shi Yuan, there were a total of 4 time realm experts. As soon as that strange afterimage appeared, Xianxia's pupils constricted, and then she swiftly turned around and swept her spear forward. However, this spear strike directly missed. Xianxia was shocked. She didn't even turn around, and with a twist of her wrist her spear stabbed backwards. Bang! A cold light suddenly exploded from behind Xianxia, and then an afterimage retreated repeatedly. Meanwhile, a deep saber mark had appeared on the back of Xianxia's neck. However, this wasn't the end of it. A time realm expert suddenly appeared above Xianxia, and then he suddenly stomped down. Bang! The space where Xianxia was directly collapsed, and then Xianxia directly fell from the sky, falling into the world of death. As soon as she entered the world of death, her body directly exploded, turning into nothingness. And at this moment, another afterimage quietly appeared, and then a cold light swept towards Xianxia's throat. Xianxia's eyes widened. At this moment she could no longer block it. The combined attack of 4 time realm experts, how could she block it? That cold light directly flashed past Xianxia's soul. Bang! Xianxia's soul directly disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. She was truly being erased. Xianxia looked into the distance, a bit dazed. Was it going to end just like this? She was somewhat unwilling, somewhat regretful. But it was finally over. Xianxia slowly closed her eyes. Chapter 22:30. Just as Xianxia was about to vanish completely, a sword suddenly appeared and entered her soul. Bang! Xianxia's soul trembled violently. Her soul that was about to vanish was locked down by a mysterious force, and then it gradually condensed. This sword was the profound green sword. Yi Xian had suddenly appeared beside Xianxia. His expression was unusually calm as he looked at Xianxia, whose soul was so weak that it was almost transparent. Xianxia looked at Yi Xian. The 4 of them can't beat me. Yi Xian nodded. I understand. As he spoke, he gently stroked Xianxia's face and said gently, heal first, leave the rest to me. Xianxia nodded. Okay. After speaking, she entered Shao. Yi Xian turned around. At this moment, Shi Yuan was staring at him. Shi Yuan looked at Yi Xian with shock in his heart. Just now, that woman's soul had been heavily injured by the power of time. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for her to survive. However, he was shocked to discover that after the sword entered the woman's body, it actually protected her soul. Strange. Terrifying. Shi Yuan was incomparably shocked. Just who was this young man Yi Xian? Why was the sword he carried so heaven-defying? Such a divine object, even in the heavenly cycle universe, was definitely a peak existence. But why had he never heard of it? At the same time that Shi Yuan was shocked, he also felt more and more puzzled and uneasy. An unknown uneasiness. At this moment he was already riding a tiger with no way out. It wasn't just him, the Shi clan was the same. Facing such a terrifying genius, they could only strangle him in the cradle and prevent him from growing. If they didn't kill the tiger, they would be devoured in the end. They had to eliminate the roots. Thinking up to here, Shi Yuan slowly clenched his right hand. At the side, the other 3 time realm experts also locked their gazes onto Yi Xian. It wasn't just Shi Yuan. the 3-time realm experts were also feeling somewhat terrified and uneasy. The talent these 3 people displayed was truly terrifying. If they were allowed to grow, it would be the end of the Shi clan. Shi Yuan suddenly said, "Kill. Kill." As the sound of his voice faded, the 4 of them directly charged at Yi Xian. In the distance, Yi Xian slowly closed his eyes. At this moment he had yet to reach the time realm. After all, if he had continued to break through just now, Xianxia would have died. In the world of death, 4 flowing time realm powerhouses attacked at the same time. How terrifying was that? If they were outside, any one of these 4 people would be able to destroy an entire universe. However, at this moment the 4 of them attacked together for the sole purpose of killing Yi Xian. They didn't want to continue dragging things out. Things might change if this dragged on, so they had to kill Yi Xian. Only then would they be at ease. The best way to face fear was to destroy it. Yi Xian suddenly opened his eyes. He opened his palm and a sword light flew over and landed steadily in his hand. Boom! Yi Xian had directly reached the flowing time realm. Although he had not directly broken through to the time realm, he had broken through to the insight realm. And he could use the Xianxia sword to raise his cultivation by 2 realms. After reaching the flowing time realm, Yi Xian's aura continued to skyrocket. Very soon his aura reached the peak. Boom! In an instant the world of death suddenly trembled. In the distance the expressions of Shi Yuan and the others changed. What the hell? This guy's aura had already surpassed the flowing time realm? Right at this moment the distant Yi Xian suddenly swept out with his sword. As this sword swept out, the space within the world of death rippled. In the next instant, a wave of sword light fell like a waterfall. Boom! Shi Yuan and the others who had rushed in front of Yi Xian were directly pushed back by this wave of sword light. And with this retreat they actually directly exited the world of death. The 4 of them looked at Yi Xian, whose aura was still skyrocketing in the world of death, dumbfounded. Was he going to break through to the flowing time realm? The 4 of them felt that this was a bit absurd. What was above the flowing time realm? No one knew. Because in the entire heavenly cycle universe, the highest cultivation level was at the flowing time realm. And this flowing time realm was because of Qingguan. If it weren't for Qingguan, they wouldn't even be at the flowing time realm. Before Qingguan, the strongest cultivators in the heavenly cycle universe had been at the peak of insight. However, although there were no flowing time realm cultivators at that time, Shi Yuan and the others were still the peak super experts of the heavenly cycle universe. Moreover, they were different from ordinary insight cultivators. They were also working hard to break through the limits of insight, wanting to reach a higher level. However, walking the path of others and opening one's own path were 2 completely different things. And after Qingguan mentioned that the flowing time realm could be controlled, these peak experts instantly felt enlightened. They found a brand new cultivation path, and that was the power of time that Qingguan had mentioned. Through cultivating the power of time, they could reach the flowing time realm, surpass the material realm and surpass the myriad of Daos in the world. However, no one knew that the reason why Qingguan mentioned the flowing time realm and discovered that he could control time was because of the Xianxia sword. The Xianxia sword contained the power of time. Qing-er didn't create a cultivation level, because she was no longer interested in these cultivation levels. However, she was very clear about the path that Yi Xian had to walk. Therefore, she left the power of time in the Xianxia sword to give Yi Xian a direction. And what was special about the Xianxia sword? It was to increase 2 cultivation levels. Yi Xian could increase 2 cultivation levels at any time. Now that Yi Xian had reached insight, increasing 2 cultivation levels was naturally above the flowing time realm. And what was above the flowing time realm? Yi Xian didn't know, but he knew that he would find out soon. Yi Xian's aura grew stronger and stronger. In the blink of an eye, his aura reached a peak. After a few more breaths, a terrifying aura swept out from his body like a volcanic eruption. Boom! In an instant the realm of death began to boil and then it was destroyed. A mysterious and terrifying force had appeared within this aura, and as soon as it appeared, the surrounding flowing time energy actually became illusory. The flowing time energy was actually unable to resist this terrifying force. What sort of force is this? Outside, when Shi Yuan and the others saw the scene in front of them, they were shocked like soulless statues. It really is above the flowing time realm. The young man before them has actually reached the flowing time realm. It's absurd. Can it be played like this? Suddenly, a pained expression appeared on Yi Xian's face, and it didn't take long for his features to warp as if he was enduring some sort of intense pain. Meanwhile, Soul spoke with horror. Young lord, quickly return to the flowing time realm. That force is too strong and you can't endure it right now. Hearing this, Zhou Xian did not hesitate in the slightest. He immediately stopped and suppressed his cultivation level to age. He had no choice but to stop. If he didn't, then he would really die. That force was even more terrifying than the flowing time energy, and it wasn't something he could endure right now. When facing this force, he was like a 10-year-old holding a Qingguan's "don't mess with me." Even though it was powerful, the recoil was truly unbearable. His enemy might die with a single shot, but he would definitely die as well. However, this was normal. He'd crossed 2 realms in one go, and he was definitely unable to endure the force that exceeded his normal cultivation. It was just like eating. If a person were to suddenly overeat and eat a few times or even 10 times the amount of food they should eat, then it was very likely that that person would be stuffed to death. When his cultivation returned to the flowing time realm, Zhou Xian instantly felt much better, and the mysterious force around him had vanished as well. At this moment, Shi Yuan and the others were beyond shocked. The scene from before had overturned everything they knew. Flowing time. The young man before them had actually crossed 2 realms in succession and reached the flowing time realm. He was too abnormal. Right at this moment, Shi Ru appeared by Shi Yuan's side, and he stared fixedly at the green profound sword in Zhou Xian's hand. Patriarch, it's because of that sword. The reason he was able to rise by 2 realms in succession was all because of that sword. If we can obtain that sword. The gazes of Shi Yuan and the others instantly burned with desire when they heard this. The sword. Zhou Xian himself wasn't terrifying, it was the sword that was terrifying. So long as they obtained the sword, then it was entirely possible for them to reach the flowing time realm. So long as they could reach the flowing time realm, then wouldn't they be invincible? When they thought up to here, Shi Yuan and the others exchanged glances, and then they charged towards Zhou Xian. Seize the sword. At this moment, their objective wasn't just to kill Zhou Xian, they also wanted the green profound sword in Zhou Xian's hand. On the other side, Shi Tian watched silently from the side and he didn't speak. He hadn't spoken since the beginning and no one knew what he was thinking. Zhou Xian suddenly opened his eyes, and he frowned slightly when he saw the 4 of them charging towards him. In the next moment he charged forward and swept his sword forward. He was fighting by himself. It was a battle of brute force. Rumble. An expanse of sword light suddenly exploded within the realm of death, and then Zhou Xian retreated explosively. Even though his strength had increased greatly, it was still difficult for him to resist the joint forces of 4 people. After all 4 of them were at the flowing time realm and they weren't weak at all. Zhou Xian had just retreated when he suddenly frowned, and then he swiftly turned around. Meanwhile, an afterimage flashed over, and then a cold ray of light swept towards his throat. It was extremely swift. Zhou Xian blocked it with his sword. Bang! Zhou Xian instantly retreated hundreds of thousands of feet away. At this moment, several terrifying forces attacked him from behind. A ferocious smile arose on the corners of Zhou Xian's mouth, and then he swiftly turned around and slashed repeatedly with his sword. This slash directly overlapped with over 60,000 sword lights. In an instant, the sword lights were like a waterfall that blotted out the sky. Rumble. The sword lights shattered as soon as they appeared, and the powerful force caused Zhou Xian to retreat repeatedly. As he retreated, his body actually started to burn. The strength of 3 flowing time realm experts was simply too great. So he was retreating too quickly to the point that his body couldn't endure this speed, and then it started to burn. Right at this moment, a hand suddenly pressed down on Zhou Xian's body. Bang! A powerful force directly pressed Zhou Xian to the spot. Zhou Xian turned around and saw that it was Dao Ling. Dao Ling's expression was calm, and his gaze was deep as if it could pierce through the stars. Flowing time. Zhou Xian knew that this digger had reached the flowing time realm. Dao Ling smiled slightly. Brother Yi, leave the rest to me. Watch carefully, watch my performance. As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished on the spot and charged towards Shi Yuan and the others. Bang! In an instant, the powerful force caused the world of death to tremble. At the same time, Shi Yuan and the others suddenly vanished on the spot as well. A moment of silence ensued. Rumble. A world-shaking explosion resounded abruptly, and then a figure retreated explosively, and he'd retreated for over 100 kilometers in an instant. It was Dao Ling. As soon as Dao Ling stopped moving, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Moreover, his body had even shattered. Dao Ling was slightly stunned. Shi Yuan gazed at Dao Ling. Do you think that the four of us are very weak? Dao Ling was speechless. Yi Xian gazed at Dao Ling. Brother Dao Ling, please continue your performance. Don't stop. Dao Ling was speechless. Chapter 22:31. Dao Ling felt quite embarrassed. He'd really underestimated Shi Yuan's group of four. As far as he was concerned, he should be invincible in the same realm of cultivation once he attained the time realm. After all, he'd always been invincible in the same realm of cultivation. But he was wrong this time. Because he'd overlooked something, and it was that it wasn't just one expert at the time realm before him but four. He had a very good chance of winning in a one-on-one battle. But the problem was that it wasn't a one-on-one battle. For experts, regardless of whether it was Yi Xian or Dao Ling, none of them had a chance of winning. Because Shi Yuan and the others weren't idiots. Right at this moment, the distant Shi Tian suddenly said in a light voice, "This is my clan?" All of them turned around to look at Shi Tian when they heard this. Since the beginning until now, they'd overlooked Shi Tian's existence. After all, Shi Tian was an extraordinary monstrous genius. Meanwhile, Shi Tian suddenly chuckled. I think it's quite sad. How sad? Shi Yuan and the others frowned when they heard this. Shi Tian roared with laughter. For the clan? Patriarch, all I see right now is greed. The expressions of the experts of the Shi clan became unsightly when they heard this. Shi Yuan stared fixedly at Shi Tian. Do you know what you're saying? Shi Tian smiled. Of course I do. For the clan? Patriarch, you make everything sound so righteous, but you're actually just greedy and have no bottom line. The battle for karmic luck is a battle between the two of us, and it doesn't involve the clan at all. However, you just had to use the clan to suppress them, causing a simple matter to become complicated, and you even dragged the entire clan down with you. Now you've led the entire Shi clan down a path of no return. If we don't kill them, then the clan will be in danger in the future. If we kill them, then wouldn't the clan be in danger as well? As he spoke, he pointed at Yi Xian and said, how could that sword in his possession be forged by an ordinary person? Even if the Zhou clan mobilizes its entire clan, it's impossible to forge that sword. If all of you kill him, then will all of you really be able to resist the creator of that sword? Shi Yuan's expression was quite unsightly. Actually, it wasn't that he hadn't thought about it, but it was just as Shi Tian had said. The Shi clan really had no way out now. He'd selectively overlooked these problems. Now he could only walk to the end, kill Yi Xian, snatch the sword and then break through. In the distance, Shi Ru sighed in a low voice. Little guy, we shouldn't be talking about this right now. We should unite against the enemy. Shi Tian shook his head. Teacher, you are wrong. Shi Ru was a little displeased. The overall situation is more important. Shi Tian chuckled and said, the overall situation is the most important? What is the overall situation of our Shi clan? Did he not want to make friends with a monster when he saw it but wanted to destroy it? Everything has karma. Today our Shi clan has killed the two of them. Teacher, do you really think that our Shi clan can bear this karma? Shi Ru's face turned ugly. Shi Yuan suddenly mocked. Make friends? Shi Tian, do you know what you're saying? You and the two of them are fighting for destiny, the destiny of the great Tao. You were born to be enemies, do you understand? Furthermore, at least half of what you have today is due to the family's nurturing. The family nurtured you. Why are you questioning the family now? Shi Tian looked at Shi Yuan. I am not questioning the clan, I am questioning you. Shi Yuan's eyes narrowed when he heard this, and a cold light flickered within them. Shi Tian wasn't afraid in the slightest. Shi Yuan, your eyes have already been blinded by greed. You wanted to kill the two of them because you were afraid that they would side with the Zhou clan, but you never thought that your current actions would push them into the embrace of the Zhou clan. Moreover, Shi Yuan, you want to seize the sword of the person of destiny. Let me ask you, have you ever thought about it carefully? Can you really bear this sword? Can an ordinary person bear such a heaven-defying divine treasure? Can my Zhou clan bear it? Shi Yuan said fiercely, are you trying to boost the morale of others and diminish our own? Shi Tian shook his head lightly. I just don't want you to drag my Shi clan step by step into the abyss. Shi Ru sighed softly. Shi Tian, what you say isn't without reason. But now we should unite and face the enemy as one. Think about it, if we don't kill them today, would they let our Shi clan off in the future? At this moment we have no path of retreat. We can only kill the two of them and eliminate this calamity. The rest of the elders also nodded in agreement. Presently the Shi clan really had no path of retreat. Shi Tian fell silent for a short moment before he said, "Elders, I understand all of you, but I'm sorry, I don't agree with your actions. If I, Shi Tian, want to fight, I'll fight in an open and above-board manner. I'll fight in an upright manner. I'll fight in an open and above-board manner. What's the point of fighting for karmic luck in such a manner even if I win?" As he spoke, he glanced at the experts of the Shi clan. "You have your reasons, but I have my principles, and my principles don't allow me to act in this way." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and left. Moreover, his aura actually rose explosively with every single step he took. All of them were stunned by this scene. When he took the 10th step, his aura had arrived at an extremely terrifying level. In an instant, countless strands of mysterious energy surged towards him. The energy of time. It was the energy of time. The experts of the Shi clan were petrified. Shi Tian had attained the time realm. Shi Yuan's expression was extremely unsightly. Next to him, Yi Xian and Dao Ling looked at each other in silence. Shi Tian's actions really had exceeded their expectations. Dao Ling suddenly spoke softly. He adhered to his principles and his heart. He didn't choose to compromise in the end when facing his heart and his clan. Compromise. Yi Xian fell silent. A person would face many choices in their lifetime, and some choices might really go against their heart. However, those choices might also bring about benefits. At times like these, many people would choose to compromise. Just like the people of the mortal world. Many people would take risks and commit crimes in order to earn money. Did he not know that his actions were against the law? He knew, but his eyes had been blinded by benefits, and as time passed, it would blind his heart as well. Should he follow his heart and be a person with principles, or should he compromise with the world and do things that he really didn't like or even hated? Obviously, Shi Tian had chosen to follow his heart. If the clan was in the wrong, then it was in the wrong, and he didn't choose to follow it. However, he wasn't the patriarch, so he couldn't change it. If he rebelled now, then others would follow him, but the clan would kill each other. He chose to leave. Meanwhile, Shi Tian suddenly said, "If the clan is in danger in the future, then I'll definitely return." As soon as he finished speaking, he'd vanished. The experts of the Shi clan had complicated feelings in their hearts. He's gone. The number one genius in the history of the Shi clan had actually left. Did we do something wrong? But the patriarch hadn't done anything wrong. Both of them were monstrous geniuses, and they were Shi Tian's enemies since birth. If they weren't annihilated now, then when? Considering the overall situation, the patriarch hadn't done anything wrong. Had Shi Tian done anything wrong? Shi Tian had his own principles and pride, and he didn't want to win the battle for karmic luck in such a manner. Was that wrong? Shi Yuan suddenly spoke fiercely. Shi Tian betrayed the clan. From this moment onward, he's no longer a member of the Shi clan. Some of the elders gazed at Shi Yuan with expressions of disbelief. Expel Shi Tian from the Shi clan? All of them were old geezers who'd lived for so many years, so how could they not understand what Shi Yuan was thinking? Shi Yuan wanted to seize this opportunity to solidify his own authority. All of them were quite displeased. Shi Ru suddenly spoke in a low voice. "Patriarch, Shi Tian didn't say anything about withdrawing from the Shi clan. Don't you think your actions are slightly inappropriate?" Shi Yuan glanced coldly at Shi Ru with killing intent in his eyes. "Are you doubting me?" Shi Ru didn't show any weakness. "What? Patriarch, do you intend to make the Shi clan your own?" Some of the Shi clan's elders gazed at Shi Yuan with slightly hostile expressions. Shi Yuan suddenly gazed at the three-time realm experts nearby. "At this moment we have no path of retreat. All of you know what the consequences will be once the chosen of heaven Dao Ling, and that woman from before grow up. Moreover, if the three of them leave today, they'll definitely be used by the Zhou clan. If we don't annihilate them today, then our Shi clan will definitely be annihilated by them in the future. Make your choice." The three-time realm experts fell silent. A short moment later, the old man in the lead spoke in a low voice. "There's no path of retreat." As he spoke, he gazed at Yi Xian. "Kill him, seize his sword and break through." Break through. If at the start they were really doing this for Shi Tian and the Shi clan's future, Then at this moment they were doing it for themselves. Because when they saw Yi Xian use that sword to break through to the realm above time, they were tempted. Above time. This temptation was something they couldn't refuse. No time realm expert could refuse this temptation. Hearing the old man's words, Shi Yuan nodded slightly, then kill. As he spoke, he gazed coldly at the surrounding Shi clan experts. Whether it's right or wrong, we won't care about it today. Let time be the witness. Let me tell you, even without Shi Tian, Shi Yuan, can already lead the Shi clan to glory. The Shi clan experts fell silent. Resist? They couldn't resist at all. Because the 4-time realm experts had already chosen to stand on Shi Yuan's side. Let alone them, even if Shi Tian was here, he wouldn't be able to resist. Only those with bigger fists had the right to speak and make decisions. Shi Yuan gazed at the distant Yi Xian. Shi Tian said that I can't bear the karma of killing you, but I don't believe it. Many years ago, a fortune teller told me that my life was tough. So I want to give it a try today. I want to see if Shi Yuan and the Shi clan can bear this karma. In the distance, Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. How many do you want to fight? Dao Ling thought for a moment and then said, 2. Yi Xian blinked. I thought you would be domineering and say that you can fight 4. Dao Ling hurriedly shook his head. No. Brother Yi, it shouldn't be a problem for us to fight 2 each, right? Yi Xian was just about to speak when 2 terrifying auras suddenly appeared in the darkness. Seeing this, Yi Xian and Dao Ling's expressions changed. Another 2-time realm experts. In the distance, Shi Yuan looked at Yi Xian and Dao Ling and sneered. What? Do you think that my Shi clan only has 4-time realm experts? Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. How many do you want to fight? Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then said with difficulty, 3. I'll fight 3, you fight 3. It's fair. Yi Xian nodded. You go first. Dao Ling nodded. Without thinking too much, he directly charged towards the 3-time realm experts in the distance. And at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly turned and disappeared into the horizon. He slipped away. In the distance, Dao Ling, who had already reached the 3-time realm experts, froze. F***CK. P.S. If there's free tiger food, I'll grind it. Chapter 2232. Flee. Yi Xian decisively chose to flee. 1 against 3? That wasn't realistic. Not to mention 1 against 3, he wasn't even fully confident in his ability to take on 2. Moreover, he still hadn't completely absorbed the energy within his body. He had to find a place to stop and absorb it. Moreover, his intuition told him that the Shi clan definitely had more trump cards. The Shi clan couldn't possibly reveal all of his trump cards at once. Seeing Yi Xian flee, Dao Ling didn't hesitate to turn around and flee. Both of them were extremely fast and they tore through space and vanished on the spot in the blink of an eye. All the experts of the Shi clan were stunned by this scene. They fled just like that. Shi Yuan suddenly said fiercely, trying to run? You guys are dreaming. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly charged forward. His space and time were torn apart and in the next moment Shi Yuan and the others vanished into the distance. Shi Ru and the others didn't give chase. They weren't able to participate in a battle of this level. Insight realm experts were very strong in the outside world, but they weren't strong enough before time realm experts. If they gave chase, they would be giving their lives away. Shi Ru fell silent for a moment before turning around and leaving. He didn't return to the Shi clan, nor did he search for Shi Tian. Instead, he headed to the dark visualization universe. He wanted to personally investigate Yi Xian. A genius like Yi Xian was absolutely not an ordinary person. Especially that sword in his hand. Even the Zhou clan couldn't forge it. He wanted to investigate Yi Xian's origins. Shi Ru hadn't even entered the dark visualization universe when he was stopped by a mysterious expert. Shi Ru had a solemn expression as he gazed at the mysterious expert. Time realm. Shi Ru fell silent. He'd already guessed the other party's identity. The mysterious expert suddenly opened his right hand and pressed it down lightly. Boom. Shi Ru was locked down by a mysterious force, and then he was placed into a black pouch. The mysterious expert turned around, and a woman was walking over slowly from not too far away. It was the eldest young miss of the Zhou clan, Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu smiled slightly. It's too late to think about getting to know this young Master Yi in detail now. Obviously, she was stopping Ru from investigating Zhou Xian. The mysterious expert said in a deep voice, "Miss, why didn't we help Zhou Xian and Dao Ling just now?" Zhou Yu shook his head. There is not much point in saving him now because the hatred between them is not strong enough. Moreover, Shi Yuan has been secretly guarding against our Zhou clan. If we save him now, we will suffer great losses. The mysterious expert nodded slightly and said, "What's the background of that young Master Yi?" Zhou Yu said softly, "There's probably a terrifying existence behind this person that even my Zhou clan cannot afford to offend." The mysterious expert frowned. Zhou Yu chuckled. "Do you think I'm exaggerating?" The mysterious expert nodded. Zhou Yu smiled and said, "Actually, what I said might be an underestimation. That sword was able to allow young Master Yi to advance 2 levels in a row without any side effects. This in itself was already very, very heaven-defying. The most terrifying thing is that this sword can allow young Master Yi to reach beyond the passage of time." As she spoke, a complicated look flashed across her eyes. Before Pavilion Master Qin appeared, the highest realm in our heavenly cycle universe was the Insight Limitless realm. At that time, many people had no direction, and even my father was still pondering over it. After Pavilion Master Qin created the passage of time, the extreme insight realm in our heavenly cycle universe had a cultivation direction. But now, that sort of young Master Yi can help him advance beyond the passage of time. Speaking up to here, she shook her head. If this sword was created by Pavilion Master Qin Guan, it means that he has Pavilion Master Qin Guan's support. If it wasn't created by Pavilion Master Qin Guan, it means that the person behind him might be even stronger than Pavilion Master Qin Guan. The mysterious expert frowned. Even stronger than Pavilion Master Qin Guan? Zhou Yu nodded. Yes. The mysterious expert wanted to say something but hesitated. Zhou Yu smiled. That's not important. What's important is that regardless of whether the person behind him is Qin Guan or someone else, he is definitely not someone we can provoke. The mysterious expert said in a low voice, "Miss, our Zhou clan is not weak either." Zhou Yu laughed. "I know, but our Zhou clan is not invincible. The universe is boundless. Our Zhou clan is strong in this heavenly cycle universe, but it doesn't mean that we are strong in other places. Let's not talk about anything else. Pavilion Master Qin Guan definitely has the ability to destroy our Zhou clan." The mysterious expert hesitated for a while. "From what I know, Pavilion Master Qin Guan doesn't cultivate. Moreover, her immortal treasure pavilion is a business. There aren't many who fight." Zhou Yu shook her head. She did say that she doesn't cultivate. However, if she doesn't cultivate, can she live that long? If she doesn't cultivate, can she ignore all the obstacles in the universe and cross star fields and universe? The mysterious expert fell silent. Zhou Yu said softly, "I know her, but I still feel that she is a stranger." As she spoke, she shook her head. "Let's not talk about Miss Qin Guan. Let's talk about Shi Tian." A cold light flashed in the mysterious expert's eyes. "He has already left the Shi clan. Can we?" Zhou Yu shook her head. "No." The mysterious expert was slightly puzzled. "Why?" "Even though he has reached the time realm, he has only just reached the time realm. Now that he has broken off relations with the Shi clan, it won't be difficult for us to kill him." Zhou Yu said softly, "It isn't that simple. He has karmic luck. If we want to kill him, we can only wait for him to make a mistake. Or rather, we can only wait for him to court death." The mysterious expert said in a low voice, "Eldest Miss, you seem to have some understanding of the 3 of them." Zhou Yu said with a smile, "I heard from Qin Guan that the 3 of them and the other person are blessed by luck. If you want to kill them, you'll have to make mistakes and seek death themselves. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to kill them." The mysterious expert was slightly puzzled. "The other person?" Zhou Yu nodded, and her expression turned slightly solemn. "Qin Guan said that there was another person. I asked her, but she didn't tell me. In other words, there's another mysterious genius who possesses the karmic luck of the Grand Tao." The mysterious expert fell silent for a moment before he said, "What role will my Zhou clan play in this battle for karmic luck?" Zhou Yu grinned. "We'll stand on Yi Xian's side." The mysterious expert asked, "Why?" Zhou Yu said softly, "A woman's intuition. Do you believe it?" The mysterious expert was speechless. A short while later, Zhou Yu and the mysterious expert left. Not long after they left, A red-robed young man and an old man appeared here. The young man chuckled. Miss Zhou actually stopped Shi from heading to the Dark Observer universe to investigate Zhou Xian. Interesting. The old man spoke indifferently. The Zhou clan wants to kill the Shi clan. The young man nodded slightly. Old Gu, according to my knowledge, Shi Yuan is a genius of his generation. However, his actions can only be described as retarded. I'm very puzzled. The old man chuckled. He's been blinded by power and desire. Just think about it, Shi Tian is the next patriarch of the Shi clan. So long as Shi Tian reaches the time realm, then he'll have to relinquish his authority. Under such circumstances, do you think he would be willing? He would naturally be unwilling. Once power is in his grasp, how could he give it up so easily? It would be fine if Shi Tian was his son, but unfortunately he isn't. Even if he is, Shi Yuan's breadth of mind and ability wouldn't relinquish his authority so easily. The young man spoke softly. At his level, he should understand that power is just fleeting, so why is he still so persistent? The old man shook his head. You're wrong. The reason he was able to attain his current level of cultivation is precisely because of power. Cultivation requires resources. Without the accumulation of the ancestors of the Shi clan, how could it have been easy for him to attain the time realm? Why are there so few time realm cultivators in the world? Is it because geniuses and monstrous geniuses are rare? No, there are many geniuses and monstrous geniuses, but not all of them are able to go very far. Resources and a platform are very important. The young man fell silent. The old man continued. Shi Yuan was blinded by his own desire and greed, forcing himself into a corner. The current him has no way out, he can only walk to the end. The young man smiled. Old Gu, what do you think about Shi Tian leaving the Shi clan? After a moment of silence, the old man said, Xianxia, you might be able to defeat the Zhou Xian and that Dao Ling, but you might not be able to defeat Shi Tian. Xianxia narrowed his eyes. Why? The old man said softly, Shi Tian was able to persevere in that kind of situation and adhere to his principles. He is a very remarkable person. This person's path towards the great Tao will go very far. Xianxia smiled. I'm actually thinking of fighting with the three of them. The old man nodded. There will be a chance. Xianxia nodded as if he had thought of something. He suddenly said, earlier that Zhou Xian used that sword to reach the time realm. Hearing this, the old man's expression turned serious. Xianxia smiled. I have to say, even I am somewhat tempted by that sword. The old man said in a low voice, you have your own Tao. Xianxia laughed. I'm just a little tempted. As he spoke, he glanced at the depths of the starry sky in the distance and said, Old Gu, was the calamity that our evil spirit race faced back then also because of the patriarch at that time? The old man shook his head. Back then, it wasn't a man-made calamity. Xianxia's eyes narrowed slightly. Then it was a natural calamity. Old Gu's expression became extremely solemn. Xianxia, you are the last hope of our evil spirit race. You are not allowed to do anything before you obtain the great Tao karmic luck, let alone think about revenge. Xianxia fell silent. Old Gu suddenly said sternly, Did you hear that? Xianxia slowly clenched his right hand. Old Gu, even with my current strength, I'm unable to contend against him? Old Gu stared fixedly at Xianxia. The current you is still like an ant before him. Only by obtaining the blessing of the great Tao karmic luck will you be able to contend against him. Otherwise, you can never take revenge for our evil spirit race. No, you can't even mention it. Xianxia said in a low voice. Old Gu, who exactly is he? After a moment of silence, Old Gu said, a terrifying existence that can resist the great Tao karmic luck's power of destiny. Chapter 2233. Resist the great Tao brush? Xianxia's pupils constricted when he heard this. What was the great Tao brush? It was a divine brush that could decide the fate of all living beings. Yet the other party was actually able to resist the power of the great Tao brush. At this moment, the old man suddenly sighed. Let's go. With that, he turned around and left. Xianxia was silent for a moment before he left as well. He didn't ask who the other party was because it was meaningless. On the other side, Zhou Xian and Dao Ling were fleeing madly through space-time. Even though they couldn't defeat Shi Yuan and the others, if they were to flee, Shi Yuan and the others wouldn't be able to do anything to them. After all, Dao Ling was at the time realm. Even though Yi Xian wasn't, he had the green profound sword. The two of them were extremely fast and had already passed through countless stars. However, Shi Yuan and the others were like maggots in their bones. Within space-time, Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian. "Brother Yi, where are we going?" Yi Xian said solemnly, "To the Zhou clan." Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and said, "Will the Zhou clan help us?" Yi Xian said seriously, "We are passing by the Zhou clan. There is no need for us to stay there. Understand?" Dao Ling was stunned and then he gave a thumbs up. Amazing. Passing by the Zhou clan. So long as they passed by the Zhou clan, Shi Yuan and the others would definitely pass by the Zhou clan as well. The two clans had always been at odds with each other. Would the Zhou clan allow Shi Yuan and the others to enter the Zhou clan? Definitely not. Thus, when they passed by the Zhou clan, Shi Yuan and the others would have two choices. First, retreat. Second, fight the Zhou clan head-on. No matter which choice it was very beneficial to the two of them. At this moment, Dao Ling suddenly said, "Brother Yi, do you know how to get to the Zhou clan?" Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "I don't think so." Dao Ling's face instantly darkened. Yi Xian felt his balls aching. Damn it. I actually forgot about that. How to get to the Zhou clan? Dao Ling glanced at the surroundings and said, "If this continues, they'll catch up to us sooner or later." Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he said, "I have a way." As he spoke, he took out the Xiantian token and activated it. Soon enough, the Xiantian token in his hand emitted a low hum. Not long after, an illusory elder appeared in front of Yi Xian and Dao Ling. The elder bowed slightly and was about to speak when Yi Xian and Dao Ling disappeared into the depths of the starry sky. The old man was stunned. At the end of the distant starry sky, Yi Xian suddenly said, "Senior, how do we go to the Zhou clan? Point me in a direction." The old man's face froze and he hesitated for a moment before he said, "Young Master Yi, all of you're going in the wrong direction." He naturally knew that it was Yi Xian who had summoned him. Now in the Celestial Treasure Pavilion, only Yi Xian had the Xiantian token. At the end of the starry sky, Yi Xian's face turned as black as the bottom of a pot when he heard the old man's words. "Damn it. Wrong direction. We're going back." Yi Xian suddenly turned to look at Dao Ling. "Brother Dao Ling, I'll be leaving first. Take care of yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Xian used the green profound sword to travel back to the Shi clan. On the other hand, Dao Ling was dumbfounded. "Fuck. Brother Yi. Don't sell me out." Meanwhile, Shi Yuan and the others appeared in front of Dao Ling. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment before he said, "Everyone, that sword is in Brother Ye's hands. Moreover, he's heading to the Dao clan now. It's not too late for you to chase after him now." Yi Xian was speechless. The expressions of Shi Yuan and the others became extremely unsightly when they heard Dao Ling's words. After all, their true target was Yi Xian and the green profound sword in his hand. As for Dao Ling, of course they couldn't let him go. Shi Yuan glanced at an old man at the side. In the next moment, the old man's group of 3 charged towards Dao Ling. On the other hand, Shi Yuan led 2 time realm cultivators back. In the distance, a wisp of ferocity flashed through Dao Ling's eyes. "Come. So what if it's 1 against 3? As soon as he finished speaking, he charged forward. Rumble. Space and time shattered and Dao Ling retreated explosively tens of thousands of meters away. As soon as he stopped, he fell into the world of death. Moreover, his body gradually became illusory. The full-powered attack of 3 time realm cultivators was still very terrifying. Dao Ling's eyelids twitched when he saw the 3 experts of the Shi clan charging towards him again, and he hurriedly said, "No. I'm not coming anymore." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and vanished into the horizon. If it was in the past, he would have fought to the end. Even if he couldn't win, he would still fight. But now he felt that it was better to be more wretched. As long as there's life, there's hope. The expressions of the 3 time realm cultivators instantly became unsightly when they saw Dao Ling flee again. They didn't hesitate to chase after him. On the other side, after Yi Xian used the green profound sword to return to his original position, he immediately used the green profound sword to pierce through the galaxy of time and space and rush towards the Zhou clan. He used the green profound sword to push his speed to the limit. In the blink of an eye, he had already passed through dozens of star fields. However, he still hadn't reached the Zhou clan. Yi Xian couldn't help but frown. So far. Without thinking too much, Yi Xian continued traveling. In the blink of an eye, he passed through dozens of star fields. Very soon he frowned because he discovered that this was the direction to the mysterious observer cosmos. At this moment, space and time in front of him suddenly split open and Zhou Xian and the other two walked out. They caught up. Zhou Xian stopped and took out the mysterious heaven token. After a moment, an old man appeared in front of Zhou Xian. The old man looked at Zhou Xian and smiled. "Young Master Yi." Zhou Xian looked at the old man. "The direction you told me isn't to the Zhou clan, right?" Zhou Yuan ridiculed. "Of course not." The old man hesitated for a moment before he said, "Young Master Yi, the Zhou clan isn't bad. There's definitely some sort of misunderstanding between you and them. Since it's a misunderstanding, then we can sit down and talk about it. There's nothing that can't be discussed. What do you think?" Zhou Xian said with smile. "It seems like sire is not from Immortal Treasure Pavilion but Zhou clan." The old man smiled. "I'm from the Celestial Treasure Pavilion. However, I'm not willing to see young Master Yi and the Zhou clan having such a deep misunderstanding. That's why I lied about the route. I hope young Master Yi can understand." Zhou Xian stared at the old man. "Do you know what you're doing?" The old man smiled and said, "Young Master Yi, are you trying to use the Pavilion Master to pressure me? If that's the case, then young Master Yi will be disappointed. As far as I know, the Pavilion Master has already left the Heavenly Cycle universe." Zhou Xian looked at the Tianxian token in his hand and fell silent. At this moment, the space in the distance suddenly split open. Bang! A mysterious figure walked out slowly. He wore a loose black robe, wore a mask and held a black pike in his left hand. The expressions of Zhou Yuan and the others instantly became solemn when they saw him. "Who is he?" Zhou Xian's gaze descended onto the mysterious figure, and he secretly became vigilant in his heart. His aura was so formidable that it far surpassed Zhou Yuan's group of three. Meanwhile, the mysterious figure suddenly vanished on the spot and shot towards the old man from the Celestial Treasure Pavilion. The old man's expression instantly changed when he witnessed this scene, and then he clenched his right fist and smashed it forward. Bang! The expanse of space in front of the old man transformed into a huge abyss. An instant later, the sound of something tearing apart resounded, and then a pike pierced through the center of the old man's forehead. The expressions of Zhou Yuan and the others instantly changed violently when they witnessed this scene. The old man was a time realm expert. He was killed just like that. The mysterious figure walked out slowly from afar. He gazed at the bewildered old man and spoke in a hoarse voice, "You traitor." As soon as he finished speaking, he flicked his sleeve. Bang! The old man was instantly annihilated. The mysterious figure turned around to gaze at Zhou Xian, and then he bowed slightly. "Young Master Yi, I'm sorry for causing trouble for you." Zhou Xian spoke in a low voice. "You're one of Qin Guan's subordinates?" The mysterious figure nodded. After the Pavilion Master found out that young Master Yi had arrived at Universe Expanse, she ordered the person in charge of the Celestial Treasure Pavilion here to give young Master Yi some convenience. However, she was worried that someone would disobey her orders in secret. So she made me stand on guard here. Zhou Xian hurriedly pointed furiously at Zhou Yuan's group of three. "Kill them." Zhou Yuan was speechless. The mysterious figure hesitated for a moment before he said, "Young Master Yi, I'm sorry but I can't help you." Zhou Xian was slightly puzzled. "Why?" The mysterious figure spoke in a low voice. "Young Master Yi, the Pavilion Master said that this is a battle for karmic luck, and it's better for you to fight for it yourself. We can give you some convenience but we can't help you fight. Otherwise, this battle for karmic luck would be meaningless." Zhou Xian fell silent. The mysterious figure continued, "Young Master Yi, farewell." With that, he was about to leave. Zhou Xian suddenly said, "You can give me some convenience, right?" The mysterious figure nodded. "Yes." Zhou Xian hurriedly walked over to the mysterious figure's side, and then he took out a Xiao Ta and placed it in the mysterious figure's hand. "Senior, can you help me take care of this?" The mysterious figure hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Just take care of this?" Zhou Xian nodded, "Yes." The mysterious figure nodded slightly. "This is a small matter, of course. Young Master Yi, don't worry, this thing is in my hands and no one in this universe can take it away from me." Zhou Xian nodded. "Then I can rest assured." With that, he directly entered the Xiao Ta, and then started to madly absorb the energy within his body that hadn't been completely absorbed. Seeing Yi Xian directly enter the Xiaota, the mysterious figure was stunned. The mysterious figure hurriedly said, "Young Master Yi, I only promised to protect this pagoda. I didn't promise to protect you." Yi Xian was slightly puzzled. "Senior, I didn't ask you to protect me. You just have to protect Xiaota, don't worry about anything else. Even if I get beaten to death, don't worry about it." The mysterious figure gulped. "Young Master Yi, you can't do this." Yi Xian had already closed his eyes. He only needed a little bit of time to reach the age realm. Outside, the mysterious figure looked at the pagoda in his hand, and his expression was somewhat chaotic. "Can it be played like this?" In the distance, Shi Yuan suddenly said ferociously, "Your Excellency, my Shi clan has always been on good terms with the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. Is it worth it for the Immortal Treasure Pavilion to become enemies with my Shi clan for a human?" The mysterious figure hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Actually, it's quite worth it, Shi Yuan." Chapter 2234. Shi Yuan's expression became extremely unsightly when he heard this. The Immortal Treasure Pavilion. The strongest merchant group in the world was actually willing to offend his Shi clan for Yi Xian. He knew that Yi Xian was an extraordinary VIP of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion and had obtained the favor of Pavilion Master Qin Guan. However, he still felt that it was impossible for the Immortal Treasure Pavilion to become enemies with his Shi clan for Yi Xian. After all, how stupid would one have to be to become enemies with an extraordinary power for a single person? In any case, he couldn't do it. So, he felt that even the extremely intelligent Qin Guan wouldn't be able to do it. But now, Qin Guan had actually done it. Is Qin Guan an idiot? Shi Yuan cursed in his heart. The mysterious man was quite speechless as well. He agreed to protect Xiaota, but now Yi Xian is in Xiaota's arms. What should I do? Meanwhile, Shi Yuan spoke in a low voice. My Shi clan and Yi Xian are irreconcilable enemies. I can tell you clearly that my Shi clan will absolutely not make any concessions. If you insist on interfering in the enmity between my clan and him, then my clan will have no choice but to declare war on the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. A declaration of war. When they heard this, the two powerhouses from the Shi clan beside Shi Yuan were stunned. A declaration of war against the Immortal Treasure Pavilion? How could Shi Yuan dare to do that? One of the elders spoke in a low voice. Patriarch, you need to calm down. He noticed that there was something wrong with Shi Yuan's mental state. Shi Yuan stared fixedly at the mysterious man. He was betting that the Immortal Treasure Pavilion wouldn't really declare war on the Shi clan for Yi Xian. The mysterious man spoke in a low voice. Are you sure? Shi Yuan spoke fiercely. I'm sure. His intuition told him that the Immortal Treasure Pavilion would definitely compromise the Shi clan. How could the Immortal Treasure Pavilion possibly declare war on the Shi clan for Yi Xian? How could that be possible? It was absolutely impossible. The mysterious man nodded. I'll contact the pavilion master. As soon as he finished speaking, he opened his palm, and a talisman suddenly floated up into the air. A moment later, the starry sky above him trembled slightly, and then a figure appeared above everyone. It was Qin Guan. Qin Guan stood in an unknown bamboo forest. Not far from her stood a woman. She carried a small bamboo basket on her back and held a sickle in her hand. She was currently discussing something with Qin Guan. The woman with the sickle had enmity in her eyes. She gripped the sickle tightly as if she wanted to attack. At this moment, Qin Guan suddenly turned around and looked at the mysterious man. What's wrong? The mysterious man spoke in a low voice. Pavilion Master, the Shi clan has declared war on my Celestial Treasure Pavilion. A declaration of war. Qin Guan frowned. Why? The mysterious man hesitated for a moment and then he said, perhaps they want to be annihilated. Qin Guan was speechless. Shi Yuan suddenly said, Pavilion Master Qin, my Shi clan must kill Yi Xian today. If your Immortal Treasure Pavilion refuses to stop us, then my Shi clan can only declare war on your Immortal Treasure Pavilion. Qin Guan thought for a moment and then she said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, this is a battle for karmic luck. You don't possess karmic luck, so why are you interfering? The mysterious man suddenly said, he's afraid that young Master Yi and young Master Ling will join the Zhou clan, so he wants to annihilate them first. Moreover, he seems to want to seize the sword in young Master Ye's possession. Qin Guan's beautiful brows knit together slightly when she heard this, and then she gazed at Shi Yuan. Patriarch Shi Yuan, you're a time realm expert at any rate. Why are you acting so brainlessly? Shi Yuan stared fixedly at Qin Guan. Are you teaching me how to do things? Qin Guan was speechless. As if she'd thought of something, Qin Guan suddenly gazed at the mysterious man. Did you interfere? The mysterious man hurriedly shook her head. Young master Yi asked me to protect his pagoda. I thought about it for a moment and then I decided to protect the pagoda. There shouldn't be any problems. After all, the pavilion master said that he would give young master Yi some convenience. But I never expected that young master Yi would hide in Xiao Ta. At this point even he was speechless. He felt like he'd been tricked. Qin Guan rolled her eyes. This fellow. Meanwhile, Shi Yuan suddenly spoke fiercely from afar. Pavilion Master Qin, will we fight or not? Just give me an answer. Qin Guan thought for a moment and then she said, since you've declared war, then let's fight. As she spoke, she opened her palm and a slightly strange weapon appeared in her hand. Within Xiao Ta Yixian's eyelids twitched. This weapon was exactly what Qin Guan had said to him in the past. Don't provoke me. Qin Guan aimed it at Shi Yuan. Patriarch Shi Yuan, are you sure you want to fight? I'll give you one last chance. It's not too late to surrender now. Shi Yuan roared madly with laughter. How laughable. Qin Guan, I thought you were a smart woman, but now it seems like you're a retard. My Shi clan gave face to your immortal treasure pavilion all those years ago, but you think we're afraid of you? How laughable. Come, let me tell you right now. My Shi clan will fight to the death with your immortal treasure pavilion. From this moment onward, my Shi clan will use all our strength to destroy your immortal treasure pavilion. In the starry sky, Qin Guan thought for a moment and then she pulled the trigger. Bang! In an instant, a ray of white light surged out from the muzzle of the gun. The ray of white light actually ignored the layers of starry sky and arrived in front of Shi Yuan. A sinister look flashed in Shi Yuan's eyes. He folded his hands together and a terrifying aura swept out from his body. At this moment his aura had reached its peak. The starry sky boiled and all things were destroyed. However, as soon as his aura came into contact with the ray of white light, it was like snow in boiling oil, instantly melting. Bang! Under everyone's gazes, the ray of white light pierced through Shi Yuan's forehead. It didn't disappear but disappeared at the end of the starry sky. Rumble. Shi Yuan's body seemed to be nailed to the ground, and his body started to turn illusory bit by bit. Shi Yuan was stunned. Gone. I'm gone. He was insta-killed. The two Shi clan experts beside Shi Yuan had faces full of shock, and their bodies couldn't help but tremble. At this moment they were completely dumbfounded. Shi Yuan was at the Year Realm. And he was insta-killed by Qin Guan just like that? Shi Yuan looked at the distant Qin Guan and said with a trembling voice, What the hell are you holding? Qin Guan blinked. Don't provoke me. Shi Yuan's throat rolled and then he said, You're so powerful. Qin Guan chuckled. It's not bad, it's not bad. Shi Yuan. Qin Guan turned to look at the woman in front of him and then he said, About the matter I mentioned just now, let's discuss it again. The little girl glanced at the divine object in Qin Guan's hand and then she said, No? There's no need to discuss it. Whatever you say. As she spoke, she hesitated for a moment and then she put away her scythe. You're right. Fighting is indeed not good. We should have a good talk. Women can't hit other women, don't you think? Qin Guan. In the starry sky, Shi Yuan's body became more and more illusory. He knew that he was going to be completely gone. At this moment, Shi Yuan's face was filled with confusion. The approach of death caused his mind to calm down a little. He had lost the bet. The immortal treasure pavilion didn't put the Shi clan in their eyes at all. Shi Yuan looked towards the end of the starry sky. Suddenly he shook his head and smiled. His smile was somewhat miserable. It had to be said that he had indeed been blinded by power and desire. Now that he thought about it carefully, how could this Yi Xian be an ordinary person? Just as Shi Tian had said, even if he killed Yi Xian and obtained the green profound sword, could his Shi clan bear the consequences? He had lost his mind. Shi Yuan suddenly said softly, Shi Qian, go and find Shi Tian. Tell him to come back and lead the Shi clan. Shi Qian said in a trembling voice, Clan leader. Shi Yuan shook his head. I'm sorry. As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared completely. Zhou Xian and Zhou Tian fell silent for a moment, then they turned and left. Kill Zhou Xian? They didn't dare to. The most important thing now was to find Zhou Tian and rebuild the Zhou clan. At this moment Xiao Ta suddenly trembled slightly. Then Zhou Xian walked out. At this moment he had reached the time realm. Zhou Xian looked at the mysterious person in front of him. The mysterious person hesitated for a moment then said, "Young Master Yi, you reached the time realm just like that?" Zhou Xian nodded. The mysterious person was speechless. What the hell? Just now he was still looking into the time realm. Why was cultivation as easy as drinking water? Zhou Xian put away Xiao Ta then said, "Senior, thank you." With that he turned and left. The mysterious person said in a deep voice, "Young Master Yi, where are you going?" Zhou Xian didn't even turn his head. "Exterminate the Zhou clan." The mysterious person. On the other side, Dao Ling was being pursued crazily. He still couldn't fight 1 against 3. Fortunately, Dao Ling wasn't weak either. He fought while running and he could barely hold on. At this moment Dao Ling suddenly stopped. The space-time in front of him split open and Zhou Xian appeared before him. Seeing Zhou Xian, Dao Ling was stunned at first, then he was overjoyed. "Brother Yi." Zhou Xian looked at the 3 Zhou clan experts in the distance. The 3 suddenly turned and disappeared into the horizon. Obviously they already knew what happened to Zhou Yuan. Seeing the 3 people suddenly leave, Dao Ling was slightly puzzled. He turned and sized up Zhou Xian then said, "Brother Yi, you've reached the time realm?" Zhou Xian nodded. "To the Zhou clan?" Dao Ling frowned slightly. "Why are we going to the Zhou clan?" Zhou Xian said indifferently, "That Zhou Yuan is dead. Now the Zhou clan is leaderless. Kill them." Dao Ling said in a deep voice, "Zhou Yuan is dead? How did he die?" Zhou Xian opened his palm and the green profound sword appeared in his hand. He casually waved the green profound sword in his hand, then raised his eyebrows. "What do you think?" Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then said, "You killed him?" Zhou Xian smiled proudly but he didn't speak. "Dao Ling," Zhou Xian suddenly said, "Brother Dao Ling, I've also reached the time realm now. If we join forces, exterminating the Zhou clan will be as easy as snapping our fingers. How we go?" Dao Ling thought for a moment and then said, "Brother Yi, even though Zhou Yuan is dead, most of the top-rate experts of the Zhou clan are still alive. I'm afraid it'll be quite dangerous for us to go to the Zhou clan like this." Zhou Xian said seriously, "What's there to be afraid of? Both of us are top-rate geniuses in this world. With our strengths, do we have any opponents in the same realm as us? No, none at all. Let's go. Kill the Zhou clan." As soon as he finished speaking, he dragged Dao Ling and headed straight for the Zhou clan. In the starry sky, Dao Ling glanced at the sword in Zhou Xian's hand. "Brother Yi, this sword of yours is really good. Where did you buy it?" Zhou Xian said, "My younger sister forged it." Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Brother Yi, you and I are brothers, so your younger sister is my younger sister. There's no problem with me saying that, right?" Bang! Suddenly, a ray of sword light descended from the depths of the starry sky. Dao Ling didn't even have time to react before the ray of sword light pierced his head. Rumble! Dao Ling's body shattered, and his soul vanished at a speed visible to the naked eye. Dao Ling was dumbfounded. "What's wrong with me? Who am I?" Xiao Ta suddenly said, "It's one thing to play around but don't make fun of his younger sister." In the Milky Way, in a small room, a sigh suddenly resounded. "You can't do that. He has the great Dao's karmic luck on him. You can't kill him recklessly." At this moment the Xing Dao sword suddenly appeared in the small room. Then Qing'er's voice resounded. "Say that again." The room fell into silence. "Have you guys seen a cartoon, The Adventures of the Little Carp? And the Go Boy? Did I expose my age?" Chapter 2235. In space, Zhou Xian saw Dao Ling's soul disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. He hurriedly said, "Qing, forget it. He's one of us." Boom. The sword light in Dao Ling's body shot up into the sky and disappeared at the end of the galaxy. Dao Ling was still in a daze. "Brother Yi, that sword just now," Zhou Xian said calmly. "As Xiao Ta said, it's one thing to play and one thing to mess around, but don't use my sister as a joke." Dao Ling. After a while, Dao Ling's body returned to normal, but he was still very weak and needed to heal. The plan to attack the Shi clan had to be put on hold for now. Xian was also speechless. After a long while, Dao Ling said solemnly, "Brother Yi, may I ask what is your sister's realm?" Xian said calmly, "No realm." Dao Ling frowned. "No realm?" Xian nodded. "No realm. She doesn't cultivate her realm." Dao Ling said solemnly, "Impossible. Absolutely impossible." Xian said, "How do you feel after she gave you that sword just now?" Dao Ling. Xian sighed softly. "Brother Dao Ling, don't be so narrow-minded. The world is very big and there are many experts. We are all very insignificant." Dao Ling was silent. Xian suddenly said, "Brother Dao Ling, have you recovered from your injuries?" Dao Ling looked at Xian. "Are we really going to attack the Shi clan?" Xian laughed. "Of course. A gentleman's revenge is never too late, but I, Xian, like to take revenge on the same day unless I really can't beat them." Dao Ling. After a while, Dao Ling's injuries recovered. The two set off for the Shi clan. Along the way, Dao Ling was troubled. He had to admit that the sword just now had left him dumbfounded. He had never thought that one day he would be insta-killed by a sword. One had to know that he was now at the Time Realm, one of the strongest experts in the world. However, he was almost killed in a second. It was too outrageous. Before long, the two of them arrived at the Shi clan. At this time, all the experts of the Shi clan had already returned. After the two of them entered the Shi tribe, Xian did not say a word and directly slashed downwards. A huge sword chi descended from the sky, slashing toward the Shi clan below. At this moment, an afterimage suddenly soared into the sky from below. Rumble. The sword chi was directly shattered. An old man appeared before Dao Ling and Xian. That old man was none other than Zhou Xian. After Shi Yuan's death, Zhou Xian became the acting patriarch of the Shi clan. Zhou Xian looked at Xian and didn't waste any words. "Sacrifice the array." Boom. In the Shi clan, a huge screen of light suddenly shot into the sky. In the blink of an eye, a huge round screen of light appeared above Xian and Dao Ling's heads. Around them, more screens of light shot into the sky from the Shi clan and gathered into the round screen of light. Rumble. The round screen of light started to tremble violently, and then numerous strands of terrifying pressure swept down towards Xian and Dao Ling. At the same time, 4 Time Realm experts appeared behind Xian and Dao Ling. Peace? Zhou Xian hadn't thought of it that way. The Shi clan and Xian were irreconcilable enemies, so asking for peace would only be asking for humiliation. At a time like this, it was best to just kill them. Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. "What do you think?" Dao Ling glanced at the surroundings and then he said, "I'll fight 2 Time Realm experts in this formation. How about you fight 3 Time Realm experts?" Xian nodded. "All right." Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then he said, "Brother Yi, promise me that you won't sell out your teammates." Xian was speechless. Dao Ling didn't say anything else and he just charged towards the distance. Bang. In an instant, a Dharma idol that was over 30 kilometers tall appeared in the starry sky outside the screen of light. It was Dao Ling's Dharma idol. Dao Ling's Dharma idol was many times larger than before. Moreover, the aura it emanated was completely different from before. Everyone felt a terrifying pressure descend upon them. Zhou Qian's eyes narrowed slightly. "Shi Ran, Shi Mu, don't underestimate your enemies." The 2 Time Realm experts nodded slightly and then they shot into the sky. A wisp of ferocity flashed through Dao Ling's eyes. He was just about to attack when he seemed to have thought of something and he gazed at Xian. "Brother Yi, don't sell out your teammates." As soon as he finished speaking, he charged towards the 2 Time Realm experts below him. Xian was speechless. "Am I the sort of person who would sell out my teammates?" Zhou Xian suddenly said, "Come, let me see how the 2 of you intend to destroy my Shi clan today." As he spoke, he charged towards Xian. Rumble. The space in front of Xian was directly blasted apart by a terrifying force. Xian suddenly drew his sword and slashed. Bang. A wave of sword light erupted and in an instant, both of them retreated explosively. While Xian was retreating, an afterimage suddenly flashed behind him, and a fist smashed towards the back of his head. A perfect combination. He wasn't even given the slightest chance to catch his breath. Xian's expression was calm. With a command in his heart, The green profound sword transformed into a sword shield that blocked behind him. Rumble. The verdant mysterious sword and shield shook violently, and the powerful force blasted Zhou Xian and the shield hundreds of thousands of meters away. As soon as he stopped moving, a cold light suddenly tore the space behind him apart and slashed straight at him. A wisp of ferocity flashed through Zhou Xian's eyes. He suddenly grabbed the green profound sword with his right hand, and then he turned around and slashed. Rumble. The sword light shattered and an afterimage was blasted back 30 kilometers. But right at this moment, two terrifying auras suddenly appeared by his side. Zhou Xian's eyes suddenly closed slowly. In an instant, numerous strange rays of sword light appeared in the surroundings. Future slash. Zhou Xian's expression changed slightly when he arrived in front of Zhou Xian. Because these swords seemed as if they'd been waiting for them here, and their appearance was truly too strange. Zhou Xian immediately withdrew his fist that was smashing towards Zhou Xian, and then he smashed it towards those strange swords. Rumble. An expanse of sword light suddenly exploded apart. Zhou Xian retreated repeatedly and the Time Realm expert retreated madly as well. In the distance, Zhou Xian didn't move at all, but a few dozen strange swords had appeared in the surroundings. Future slash. Zhou Xian's expression instantly changed violently when he witnessed this scene. Because the appearance of these swords was truly too strange. Most terrifying of it all was that Zhou Xian's swords were extremely sharp, and even they didn't dare to rashly go head-on against them. Zhou Xian hurriedly said, "Defend." As soon as he spoke, the three of them hurriedly converged together, and then they attacked together to resist those strange swords. Meanwhile, Zhou Xian's expression was calm and he didn't move at all. He hadn't drawn his sword, but swords were ceaselessly slashing towards Zhou Xian and the others. Every single sword was more terrifying than the last. Zhou Xian and the others were forced to retreat repeatedly by these swords. They could only defend passively because the appearance of these swords was too strange and they couldn't be traced at all. Right at this moment, one of the Time Realm experts suddenly said, "We must seal off the space here." Zhou Xian's figure suddenly leaped up when he heard this. He directly disregarded the sword that was slashing towards him from behind and smashed his right hand forward. Rumble. In an instant, the space in the sky above the Zhou clan was instantly obliterated, and the river of time was obliterated along with it. At the instant that the river of time was obliterated, the strange swords in the surroundings had instantly vanished. Zhou Xian and the others heaved sighs of relief when they witnessed this scene. Those swords were truly too strange. Most importantly, they were too sharp and they posed a lethal threat to them. Meanwhile, Zhou Xian suddenly opened his eyes and he gazed at Zhou Xian. At this moment, Zhou Xian and the others had solemn expressions in their eyes. Zhou Xian's combat strength had slightly exceeded their expectations. Zhou Xian suddenly opened his palm and the green profound sword flew out. Zhou Xian's eyes narrowed slightly and then he flipped his palm. A black shield suddenly appeared in his grasp and he charged forward with the shield in hand. Bang! The sword light was directly blasted apart, but the shield exploded apart as well. The green profound sword continued forward and slashed at Zhou Xian. Meanwhile, a spear suddenly stabbed against the green profound sword. Bang! The green profound sword was forcefully stopped. The other Time Realm expert had attacked. Zhou Xian opened his palm and the green profound sword flew back into his grasp. Zhou Xian slowly closed his eyes and in the next moment his figure gradually became illusory. Zhou Xian's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw this scene. "Watch out, swordsman." Zhou Xian's combat strength had severely exceeded their expectations. Now that they were facing Zhou Xian, they didn't dare to be careless or underestimate him in the slightest. Right at this moment, Zhou Xian suddenly opened his eyes. In the next moment, a ray of sword light suddenly appeared in the distant horizon. The expressions of Zhou Xian and the others instantly changed drastically when they saw this scene. Zhou Xian roared furiously, "Watch out!" They hadn't expected that Zhou Xian's attack wasn't aimed at them, but at Zhou Ran who was fighting Dao Ling in the distant horizon. Zhou Ran's expression instantly changed drastically, and he swiftly turned around and blocked with his right hand. Bang! Everyone watched as Zhou Xi was blasted back into the realm of death, and as soon as his figure stopped moving, his body instantly shattered into pieces. At the same time, another sword slashed down towards him. This sudden attack caused Zhou Ran's already shattered body to fall into despair. But right at this moment, An afterimage suddenly charged in front of him, and then a cold light collided with that sword. Bang! Yi Xian's sword was blocked, and the afterimage hurriedly brought Zhou Xian out of the world of death. Zhou Xian instantly heaved a sigh of relief, and then there was a trace of fear in his eyes as he gazed at Yi Xian. If it was a head-on battle, then he wasn't afraid. Because even if he wasn't a match for Yi Xian, the difference wouldn't be too great. However, he was slightly afraid of those who played dirty like Yi Xian. It was impossible to guard against. That sword that had appeared from the future was too mysterious. Zhou Xian suddenly said, "Activate the formation." As soon as he finished speaking, the enormous barrier of light in the sky suddenly started revolving swiftly, and then numerous terrifying beams of light tore through the sky like shooting stars towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian frowned slightly. He opened his palm and then he issued a command in his heart. A few 100,000 energy swords suddenly appeared around him, and then he said softly, "Rise." Boom. A sword howl resounded through the heavens and the earth, and then the energy swords shot into the sky and collided with the torrential beams of light. Hiss, 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 hiss. Rumbling and tearing sounds resounded incessantly throughout the heavens and the earth, and it seemed like the end of the world had arrived. Chapter 2236. In the sky above the Zhou clan, numerous explosions and ripping sounds resounded incessantly as sword chi collided with the pillars of light. In an instant the sky above the Zhou clan was in a mess. He just stopped it. Zhou Xian and the others had extremely unsightly expressions on their faces. Yi Xian had actually stopped the grand formation of the Zhou clan by himself. Right at this moment Yi Xian suddenly opened his palm, and then the green profound sword in his hand trembled violently before it transformed into a ray of light that shot into the sky. Hiss! The green profound sword tore through the sky and slashed down on the enormous barrier of light. Bang! Before the eyes of all the Zhou tribe experts, the huge barrier of light directly exploded into smithereens. The formation had been destroyed. Zhou Qian and the other experts of the Zhou clan had extremely unsightly expressions on their faces. Yi Xian's strength has simply changed by the day. What the hell did he eat to cultivate? He's like a freak. They'd seen monstrous geniuses and geniuses because Zhou Tian was a monstrous genius, and his speed of cultivation was extremely terrifying. But Yi Xian's speed was already abnormal. It was like cheating. In the sky, Yi Xian stood with his sword in hand as he gazed at Zhou Qian, who led the group. "I'll definitely annihilate the Zhou clan today. Even if 3 attacks come at me, I'll still." He hesitated for a moment when he spoke up to this point, and then he said, "I can consider it if 3 attacks come at me." Xiao Ta suddenly said, "Consider it my ass. Just be frank and say that you can't defeat me." Yi Xian was speechless. Zhou Qian stared at Yi Xian. "Let me see how you'll annihilate me." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly stomped his right foot against the ground and vanished on the spot. The space in front of Yi Xian had split apart, and then a fist suddenly flew out and headed straight for Yi Xian's face. The formidable force it carried seemed like it intended to crush Yi Xian into countless pieces. It was extremely terrifying. Yi Xian's expression was calm as he lightly flicked his thumb. The green profound sword suddenly slashed forward. Rumble. The space-time in front of Yi Xian suddenly exploded, and a figure rapidly retreated. It was none other than Zhou Qian, and Yi Xian also retreated several thousand feet. But just as he stopped, 2 terrifying auras suddenly attacked him from both sides. 2 time realm experts attacked at the same time. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. In the next moment his bloodline suddenly boiled. Boom. A red light suddenly shot out from Yi Xian's body into the sky. Bloodline power activated. Yi Xian suddenly turned around and swept out with his sword. Boom. A blood-red sword light surged out. Rumble. The sword of time expert in front of him was swept tens of thousands of feet away by his sword. As soon as he stopped moving, the starry sky behind him collapsed and was annihilated. At this moment, a fist mark arrived beside his head. Yi Xian's expression was calm. A sword suddenly flew out and directly slashed at the fist mark. Rumble. The fist imprint was directly shattered, and that time realm expert was forced to retreat. At this time, a sword case had appeared behind Yi Xian at some point. Heaven Burial Sword Case. This was the Heaven Burial Sword Case that Qin Guan had given him. There were 12 super divine swords hidden inside. Yi Xian turned his head to look at Zhou Xian. In the next moment he suddenly disappeared from where he stood. At the instant he disappeared, the sword case on his back suddenly trembled violently, and then 12 beams of sword light soared into the sky and slashed towards Zhou Xian. Zhou Qian's eyes flashed with malevolence. He opened his palm and suddenly, a black umbrella appeared in his hand. In the next moment the umbrella flew out and blocked in front of him. In an instant the spacetime around the umbrella turned into a giant black vortex. At this time the 12 swords slashed down. Boom, on the surface of the umbrella, the 12 swords were all blocked. However, some cracks also appeared on the umbrella. In the distance Yi Xian frowned. "Old man, you even know how to use treasures? I thought you only knew how to use fists." "Zhou Xian," Yi Xian suddenly said, "take another sword attack from me." As soon as he finished speaking, the green profound sword in his hand suddenly slashed out. A ray of sword light slashed directly against the umbrella. Bang! The umbrella shook violently and then it cracked apart. There were no divine treasures beneath the green profound sword. Zhou Qian's expression instantly changed when he saw this, and he hurriedly put the umbrella away. This umbrella was one of the few precious treasures of the Zhou clan, and it couldn't be destroyed just like that. Yi Xian turned to glance at Dao Ling. At this moment, Dao Ling was fighting 2 enemies by himself and he wasn't weak at all. In fact, he was actually showing signs of being suppressed. Moreover, he noticed that Dao Ling was getting more and more valiant as the battle progressed. As expected of a heaven-defying expert, Yi Xian withdrew his gaze and then looked at Zhou Qian. "The 3 of you can come at me together." Zhou Qian's face was expressionless. "As you wish." As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 of them charged directly at Yi Xian. Yi Xian's face immediately darkened. Zhou Qian knew very well that the 3 of them had to join forces against Yi Xian. Otherwise they wouldn't have any chance of winning. Yi Xian's strength wasn't just ordinarily terrifying. Especially the sword in his hand. It was simply terrifying and the 3 of them didn't dare to rashly go against it. So they had to join forces. It couldn't be helped. Yi Xian had no choice but to fight 3 enemies by himself. His nerves were extremely strained as he fought 3 enemies by himself. Because he couldn't relax in the slightest. Because a single mistake could be fatal. Zhou Qian and the others didn't dare to go head-on against his sword, but he didn't dare to use his body to go head-on against their strength as well. The battle was growing more and more intense. Flying swords slashed incessantly in the sky above the Zhou clan, and numerous terrifying tearing sounds resounded incessantly. On the other side, the experts of the Zhou clan had extremely solemn expressions as they watched the battle in the sky. On the other side, 2 people were watching the battle intently. The person in the lead was Zhou Yu. The old man by Zhou Yu's side spoke in a low voice. "The Zhou clan is going further and further down the path." Zhou Yu chuckled lightly. "The Zhou clan's strength is only inferior to our Zhou clan since the beginning. They've always looked down on other powers besides our Zhou clan." At this point she lightly shook her head. "Any power that reaches a certain level will begin to grow arrogant. And so long as it grows arrogant, some retarded behavior will appear. It's just like some people in the secular world who have a little bit of strength behind them. They act arrogantly as if the entire world is their home. Arrogance can cause people to lose themselves." At this point she paused for a moment and continued, "Isn't my Zhou clan the same? Isn't my Zhou clan the same as well? Before this, I felt that my Zhou clan was invincible in the heavenly cycle universe. Even though I took Yi Xian and Dao Ling seriously, I didn't feel that they could threaten my Zhou clan in the depths of my heart. But the facts have proven that my Zhou clan isn't strong enough to look down on everything in the boundless universe." The old man fell silent. Zhou Yu continued, "I quite admire that Shurun because he had already seen through this point. In the past he looked down upon everything and was extremely confident. However, his battle with Yi Xian and Dao Ling allowed him to understand that while he was very outstanding, others weren't inferior as well." As she spoke, she looked at Yi Xian and Dao Ling in the distance. Chuan was afraid that the 2 of them would pledge their allegiance to the Zhou clan. However, he never thought that such monstrous geniuses would pledge their allegiance to others. The old man spoke abruptly. "Their strength can only be described as terrifying. Even old geezers like us wouldn't dare say that we can suppress them at the time realm." Zhou Yu chuckled. "Both of them possess the karmic luck of the Grand Tao, so it's normal for them to be monstrous geniuses." The old man suddenly said, Does the Zhou clan have any other trump cards? The corners of Zhou Yu's mouth curled up slightly. Of course. They intended to keep them to guard against my Zhou clan. But now it would seem like they have no choice but to guard against these two fellows first. The old man hesitated for a moment and said, "Young miss, should we attack?" Zhou Yu thought for a moment and was about to nod. However, a mysterious masked figure suddenly appeared in front of Zhou Yu. It was the masked old man from the Immortal Treasure Pavilion who'd helped Yi Xian guard the pagoda earlier. Zhou Yu was slightly stunned and then she said, "The old man." She'd met him in the past because he'd frequently appeared by Qin Guan's side when he was with Qin Guan. The old man nodded slightly. "Miss Zhou Yu, the pavilion master asked me to pass a message to you." Zhou Yu hurriedly said, "Please go ahead." The old man spoke in a low voice. "The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind." As soon as he finished speaking, he left silently. Zhou Yu pondered deeply for a moment on the spot, and then her pupils constricted. She swiftly turned around and swept the surroundings, and her divine sense instantly swept through countless stars. However, she didn't notice anything. Zhou Yu had an extremely solemn expression on her face. No, it was slightly horrifying. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. There's a mysterious power hiding in the shadows. Zhou Yu slowly clenched her fists. Who is it? The old man glanced at the surroundings as well, but he found nothing as well. He hesitated for a moment before he said, "Miss, what's wrong?" Zhou Yu fell silent for a moment before she said, "Send the order immediately. All the experts of my Zhou clan outside must rush back to the Zhou clan within 2 hours." As soon as she finished speaking, she turned around and left. On the other side, Xianxia looked at Zhou Yu who'd left into the distance. "Did she notice us?" Beside him, the old man nodded. "She didn't notice us. It was that person from the Immortal Treasure Pavilion who notified them." Xianxia frowned slightly. Meanwhile, the space before them suddenly split open, and the masked old man walked out in the next moment. Xianxia looked at the masked old man without saying a word. The masked old man said, "I presume you're the one who caused the change." Xianxia's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your pavilion master knows me." The masked old man said, "Everything in the universe is not unchanging, and the chance of survival in a situation of despair is the change. The change is the truth of all the phenomena in the universe. The change causes life and death to alternate, and the change brings boundless light and boundless vitality to life. The change opens up a wider space for our lives in the Great Tao. Many sufferings are rekindled because of the change." Xianxia said in a deep voice, "What is your pavilion master trying to say?" The masked old man said, "The pavilion master said that young master is able to become the change because you possess the great Tao providence. If you look further ahead, you may have a chance to take revenge." As soon as he finished speaking, he quietly left. Xianxia suddenly smiled. "I understand what your pavilion master means. Your pavilion master wants to say that I should not compete with the destined one and the heaven-defying one for the great Tao providence, right?" The masked old man was silent. Xianxia smiled. "Does pavilion master Qin Guan mean that I can't compete with them?" The masked old man suddenly said, "Young master, what is the great Tao providence?" Xianxia frowned slightly. The masked old man continued. "The reason why the pavilion master asked me to bring this message to young master is because she sympathizes with the evil spirit clan's experience in the past. The evil spirit clan died in battle to save the countless lives of the evil Ling Tian region. The pavilion master admires this. That is why she asked the old man to bring this message to young master." Xianxia said in a deep voice. "From what I know, pavilion master Qin is very fond of that man of heaven's mandate. However, that man of heaven's mandate is not completely invincible. As long as his fate of the great Tao is exhausted, he will still die. We make mistakes, we seek death, and when the great Tao providence is exhausted, he will also die, right?" After a moment of silence, the masked old man said, "He might not." Xianxia was puzzled. "Why?" The masked old man sighed. "The pavilion master said that Dedeabi has been kidnapped. He is finished." Xianxia. P.S. Everyone has seen the invincible sword domain, the only sword. Let me ask you a question. If both Yi Xian and Yang Yi had no backing and were in the same world as enemies, who do you think will survive until the end? Chapter 2237. Xianxia wanted to say something else, but the masked old man had already left. He had delivered his message, so it was pointless to say anything else. It was up to Xianxia to make his own decision. Xianxia fell silent. Old man Gu spoke in a low voice. What did the pavilion master mean by that? Xianxia gazed at Zhou Xian and old man Gu, and it was unknown what he was thinking. Somewhere in the starry sky, Qin Guan suddenly stopped in his tracks. She blinked. What are you doing? There was nothing but endless starry sky around her. Qin Guan smiled. I found you. Still no response. Qin Guan smiled. Don't be like that. If you have something to say, just say it. After a long time, an ethereal voice suddenly resounded. Woman, you're meddling too much. The voice didn't seem to have come from the surroundings, and it seemed to have drifted over from the passage of time. Qin Guan smiled. Culpa Lord, may I give you a suggestion? The voice replied. There's no need. Qin Guan shrugged and dropped the subject. The voice spoke again. You freak. If you dare meddle in other people's business again, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. Qin Guan frowned. Are you threatening me? The voice replied. Yes. Qin Guan was slightly angry. She opened the pouch and was about to take something out. But suddenly, the starry sky in an area of tens of millions of kilometers started burning. It was the end of the universe. Suddenly, a Tai Chi circle appeared beneath Qin Guan's feet. The surrounding universe was obliterated, but Qin Guan was completely unharmed. The Tai Chi circle had forcefully blocked all the force. Suddenly, the top of Qin Guan's head split apart, and then a bolt of 9-colored divine lightning descended. As soon as the bolt of divine lightning appeared, a terrifying pressure swept down. The pressure was so strong that even the living beings that were a few tens of millions of starfields away could feel it. At this moment, the experts of countless universes were shocked, and they looked up into the starry sky. What pressure? Countless people were horrified. In the starry sky, Qin Guan looked up at the 9-colored divine lightning with a calm expression. Suddenly, she took out a talisman from her small pouch. She blinked, then slammed her palm upwards and shouted, Mighty Dragon of Heaven! Boom! The talisman in her hand suddenly soared into the sky, transforming into a golden dragon that crashed into the 9-colored divine lightning. Below, Qin Guan quickly covered his ears. Rumble! A terrifying explosion resounded in the starry sky, and then the bolt of divine lightning was instantly obliterated. However, the golden dragon did not disappear. It continued to roar and soar in the starry sky. At this moment, the voice suddenly rang out with some astonishment. What kind of dragon is this? How can it destroy even my tribulation lightning? Qin Guan opened her palm, and the golden dragon suddenly flew back into her hand, and then turned into a talisman. She looked into the depths of the starry sky in the distance, and put the talisman back into the small cloth bag and then took out a big sniper rifle. It's not too late to apologize to me now. The voice fell silent. Qin Guan aimed at the starry sky and directly pulled the trigger. Boom! A ray of white light suddenly surged out, and then it pierced through space and vanished into the distance. After a few breaths of time, an explosion suddenly resounded in the depths of the starry sky. Meanwhile, the voice suddenly said, That's it. Qin Guan blinked and then she put away the weapon in her hand. But it didn't take long for her to take out an even larger one. This weapon was similar to the previous one, but it was several times larger. Especially the long tube at the front, it was 3 m long and there were 2 supports beneath it. Qin Guan aimed it at the depths of the starry sky and said, This shot will destroy 300 billion divine veins. As she spoke, she pulled the trigger. Bang! A ray of white light suddenly surged out from the long tube at an extremely fast speed, and it instantly vanished from Qin Guan's field of vision. After a moment of silence, another loud explosion resounded in the distant starry sky. Qin Guan blinked. It's a little too far. As she spoke, she suddenly withdrew a cylinder and placed it before her eyes. In next to no time she saw an expanse of starry sky that was hundreds of millions of years away, and there was a silhouette standing in that expanse of starry sky. At this moment, that silhouette's right hand was gone. Moreover, there were actually some cracks on its body. Qin Guan put the cylinder away and then she gave a thumbs up and praised, You're really good. You're still alive. As she spoke, she put her weapon away. But in the next moment she withdrew an even larger weapon. This weapon's tube was as thick as an adult's and it was supported by 2 wheels. Qin Guan said, "This shot will destroy 1 trillion divine veins." As soon as she finished speaking, she pressed a button. Bang! A red cannonball suddenly shot into the sky and it instantly vanished into the distance. This red cannonball merely traversed through the starry sky, and it didn't destroy the universes it passed through. Even though it contained extremely terrifying energy, it didn't leak out. That was extremely terrifying. In the unknown starry sky, the silhouette spoke ferociously, "How fancy." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly spread open his right hand, and then he swiftly swept it forward. This sweep caused countless strands of terrifying divine lightning to sweep out. These strands of divine lightning were so strong that they could destroy universes. Actually, it should be said that every single one of them could easily destroy an entire universe. Meanwhile, the cannonball arrived. Rumble. The silhouette watched with astonishment as all of his divine lightning was obliterated. He was horrified and he hurriedly utilized a huge shield of divine lightning to block in front of him. Bang! The shield of divine lightning shattered and was obliterated, and the silhouette was blasted a few stars away. The silhouette was stunned when he stopped moving. Even though his body hadn't been completely obliterated, it had cracked apart. After all, this was a tribulation body that had been tempered through trillions of tribulations. At this moment, the silhouette's head was buzzing. On the other side, Qin Guan put down the cylinder, thought for a moment and then said, "You're still alive? Not bad." As she spoke, she put the weapon in front of her away. But it didn't take long for her to withdraw a sword, and then she lightly pressed the button on the hilt. Bang! The sword suddenly trembled violently and then a sword howl shook the universe. The silhouette said in a low voice, "You're a swordsman?" Qin Guan shook her head. "No. This sword of mine is for money. 1 million universe veins is equivalent to 10 trillion star god veins." The silhouette roared furiously, 1 million universe veins? Are you bragging? Do you know how long it takes for a universe vein to form? Not to mention 1 million, even 100,000 universe veins are difficult to form. You actually said 1 million universe veins? That's ridiculous. Qin Guan blinked. Perhaps poverty has limited your imagination. The silhouette said fiercely, 1 million. Why don't you say you have 10 million? Qin Guan chuckled. I really do. The silhouette was speechless. Qin Guan continued, let's not talk about money. To me, money is just a bunch of numbers. I'm not interested in it because I can't finish spending it anyway. Let's fight. As she spoke, the sword in her hand suddenly shot into the sky. The sword directly tore apart countless star domains. It was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it slashed in front of the silhouette. The mysterious man's pupils suddenly constricted. He hurriedly took out an ancient wooden shield and placed it in front of him. He activated the ancient shield. The ancient shield trembled violently, and a terrifying aura surged out from it like a tide. At this time, Qin Guan's sword slashed down. Boom! The ancient shield directly exploded. The powerful force sent the silhouette flying hundreds of star domains. As soon as the silhouette stopped, his body directly exploded. His body shattered. Countless divine lightnings splashed out from his shattered body like a tide. This part of the starry sky was directly annihilated. This part of the starry sky couldn't bear the fragments of his body. After the silhouette stopped, he looked at the sky full of fragments of his body and said with a trembling voice, "What the hell is this?" At this moment his whole body was numb. His 10,000 calamities body was actually shattered. In the distance at the end of the starry sky, Qin Guan suddenly frowned. You're not dead yet? It seems that I have to use something more powerful. As she spoke, she placed her hand into the small cloth bag. The silhouette was dumbfounded. Wasn't that powerful? At this time, Qin Guan's eyes suddenly lit up. He took out a strange weapon. The weapon was the size of a palm, square and translucent like a crystal. At this time, the silhouette suddenly turned and disappeared into the starry sky. His speed was extremely fast. In an instant he disappeared without a trace. Moreover, there was not a single trace of his aura. Seeing this scene, Qin Guan couldn't help but frown. He ran. The silhouette actually ran away. Qin Guan curled her lips. What a waste of my time. After saying that, she put away the weapon. She looked around and then walked towards the depths of the starry sky. In a short while she disappeared into the starry sky. Shi clan. At this time Yi Xian and Dao Ling were still fighting against the Shi clan's experts. Yi Xian was fighting 1 against 3. At this time he was equally matched with the 3-time realm experts of the Shi clan. Neither side could do anything to the other. Right now both sides were fighting a protracted battle. Let's see who can last longer. Within the Shi clan the other experts didn't interfere. A battle of this level was something they couldn't interfere at all. Not only could they not interfere but they also had to stay far away to avoid being caught up in the shockwaves. At this time something strange happened. In the sky Yi Xian suddenly turned around. In the next instant several afterimages appeared. Yi Xian's pupils constricted. With a thought the green profound sword turned into a sword shield in front of him. Rumble. The green profound sword shield trembled violently. Yi Xian and the shield were sent flying hundreds of thousands of zhang away. Yi Xian looked into the distance. Beside Zhou Xian there were 3 more people. These 3 people were actually at the time realm. Yi Xian frowned. Are you guys done yet? There are still time realms? Zhou Xian was expressionless. Ancestor summon. As his voice fell, a terrifying aura suddenly soared into the sky from the Shi clan. Yi Xian's expression instantly became unsightly when he saw this. Zhou Xian gazed at Yi Xian, and his expression was extremely unsightly. He finally understood. Yi Xian and Dao Ling hadn't come to annihilate the Shi clan. They'd come to use them for practice. Yi Xian and Dao Ling had just attained the time realm. At this moment they yearned for battle. The more intense the battle the happier they would be. Both of them were stabilizing their cultivations. Zhou Xian understood that they couldn't drag on like this. They had to kill these 2 at all costs. Dao Ling appeared by Yi Xian's side. He gazed into the distance and said, "Brother Yi, what should we do? The more they fight the more people there are." Yi Xian thought for a moment and then he said, "Flee." Dao Ling was stunned and then he said, "Flee?" Yi Xian nodded. When experts fight it's best to stop. Let's develop for a while and come again next time. As soon as he finished speaking he turned around and vanished into the horizon. Dao Ling was speechless. Chapter 2238. Flee. Yi Xian was truly a slippery character. His speed was extremely fast and he vanished into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Dao Ling was taken aback at first and then he vanished into the horizon. Yi Xian had already fled. If he didn't flee then his head would probably be smashed to smithereens. A Shi clan expert beside Zhou Xian wanted to give chase, but he was stopped by Zhou Xian. Zhou Xian shook his head slightly. "We can't do anything to them." That Shi clan expert fell silent. It was just as Zhou Xian had said. They couldn't do anything to Yi Xian and Dao Ling now. With Yi Xian and Dao Ling's current strength, if they didn't fight and kept fleeing, then even a few more time realm experts wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Some of the Shi clan experts sighed softly. This matter was simply a devastating blow to the Shi clan. Shi Yuan had died in battle and Shi Tian had left. The Shi clan's current situation was simply too terrible. At this moment one of the Shi clan experts said solemnly, "What should we do now?" Zhou Xian fell silent for a moment and then he said, "2 things. First, get Shi Tian back. Second, spread the news that Yi Xian possesses that sword." Hearing this, one of the Shi clan experts hurriedly said, "Wonderful. I don't believe that no one will be tempted by such a divine weapon. So long as someone is tempted, then someone will look for trouble with that Yi Xian and buy some time for the Shi clan." Zhou Xian said softly, "I hope our Shi clan can survive this crisis." The strength and talent that Yi Xian and Dao Ling displayed were simply too terrifying. If they were to continue growing, it was unimaginable. On the other side Yi Xian stopped. He turned around and frowned slightly. The Shi clan actually didn't chase after them. At this moment, Dao Ling suddenly said, "Are you wondering why they didn't chase after us?" Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling smiled, "I don't know either." Yi Xian's face darkened. "If you don't know then don't say anything." Dao Ling laughed. At this moment a woman suddenly appeared. It was Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu smiled lightly. "Young Master Yi." "Master Dao?" Yi Xian asked. "Zhou clan?" Zhou Yu nodded. "I'm Zhou Yu, a friend of Miss Qin Guan." "Qin Guan." Yi Xian was stunned for a moment before he smiled and said, Miss Zhou Yu, since you are Qin Guan's friend, you are also my friend. Good friends. Huh. Zhou Yu was slightly taken aback. He then smiled and said, Brother Yi Qin Guan, you are a very funny person. As expected, huh? Yi Xian smiled and said, Miss Zhou Yu, there must be something you need from us, right? Zhou Yu nodded. Shall we talk somewhere else? Yi Xian nodded. All right. After saying that, the three of them disappeared on the spot. 2 hours later, under Zhou Yu's lead, the two arrived at the Zhou clan. Zhou Yu smiled and said, The Zhou clan is located in the Heavenly Cycle realm. That's right, it was named after the Heavenly Cycle universe. Yi Xian glanced at Zhou Yu. The reason why the Heavenly Cycle universe is called Zhou Tian is because of the Zhou clan? Zhou Yu nodded. It's because of my ancestor. He came to this world and created a brand new martial arts civilization here. Since then, the people of this universe have changed the name of this universe to Heavenly Cycle Universe in order to commemorate him. My ancestor is called Zhou Tian. After saying that, she looked at Yi Xian. Dark Cycle Universe. This Xian is Master Dao, right? Yi Xian nodded. That's right. Dao Ling suddenly asked, Brother Yi, what contribution did you make to Dark Cycle Universe? Yi Xian said calmly, Does it have anything to do with you? Dao Ling smiled. I was just curious, so I asked. Yi Xian's expression was calm. Anyway, it's a great contribution. Dao Ling glanced at Yi Xian and was a little doubtful. Zhou Yu glanced at Yi Xian and did not ask further. A smart woman knew when to ask and when not to. After a while, the three of them came to a garden. Zhou Yu made an inviting gesture and said, Please sit. Yi Xian and Dao Ling did not stand on ceremony and sat down. Zhou Yu sat down as well. She picked up the teacup in front of her and took a small sip. Then she said, I just found out that the Shi clan has spread the news about young Master Ye's divine sword. Now everyone in the Heavenly Cycle universe knows that young Master Yi has a sword that can raise one's cultivation realm. Moreover, it can raise one's cultivation realm above the age realm. Yi Xian said with a smile, Will anyone come to me? Zhou Yu thought for a moment and said, Under normal circumstances, no. Because what young Master Yi and young Master Dao Ling did in the Shi clan has already spread. Ordinary people would not dare to come looking for you. Yi Xian nodded slightly. If they dare to come looking for me, then they must be top-notch experts, right? Zhou Yu nodded. Yes. Yi Xian frowned. Other than the Zhou clan and the Shi clan, are there any other super forces in the Heavenly Cycle universe? Zhou Yu shook her head. No. But there are powerful itinerant cultivators. Yi Xian nodded. I understand. Zhou Yu opened her palm and 2 scrolls floated in front of Yi Xian and Dao Ling. These scrolls record a few powerful itinerant cultivators in the Heavenly Cycle universe. Young Master Yi cannot underestimate these people. Of course, with the strength of young Master Yi and Dao Ling, I'm afraid no one in the Heavenly Cycle universe can kill you alone. Dao Ling hurriedly smiled. Of course. Now that we have reached the age realm, who can kill us instantly? There is no such thing. Yi Xian suddenly said, Have you forgotten what happened before? Dao Ling's expression froze. Yi Xian's sister. Thinking of this, Dao Ling's expression turned ugly. Zhou Yu suddenly asked, Young Master Dao, you don't look too good. What's wrong? Dao Ling hurriedly shook his head. It's nothing. I just feel a little stifled. Zhou Yu, Yi Xian suddenly said, Miss Zhou Yu, since you are Miss Qin Guan, you are one of us. Since you are one of us, I have something that I need your help with. This, you don't mind, right? Zhou Yu was stunned. Yi Xian looked straight into Zhou Yu's eyes and asked, Is there a problem? Zhou Yu hesitated for a while and said, Of course. Yi Xian hurriedly said, It's like this. I want some universe veins. Not many, just a few tens of thousands. Universe veins. After reaching the age realm, he found that star god veins were no longer very useful to him. He had to get some universe veins. Hearing Yi Xian's words, Zhou Yu's expression froze. At the side, Dao Ling hesitated for a while. In the end, he did not dare to speak. To ask for something the moment they met, he really could not bring himself to do so. Although he also wanted universe veins, the effect of devouring star god veins was minimal. Zhou Yu suddenly smiled bitterly. Young Master Yi, 10,000 universe veins in a few days. That is too much. Yi Xian blinked his eyes. Is it a lot? Zhou Yu nodded. Very, very much. To be honest, my Zhou clan has less than 200,000 universe veins in our storage. Yi Xian frowned slightly. So little? I remember Qin Guan said that she had a few million universe veins. Zhou Yu smiled bitterly. Miss Qin Guan. You can't compare to her. Her celestial treasure pavilion has opened all over the myriad heavens and realms, and she can even create realms. Do you know why people here can easily reach the age of time? Yi Xian shook his head. Zhou Yu shook his head and smiled. Miss Qin Guan came to sell it. She said that as long as you have 200,000 universe veins, she will teach everyone the cultivation method. Yi Xian frowned slightly. That's not right. Qin Guan said that the cultivation system is for the benefit of the universe. She won't charge any fees. Zhou Yu nodded. I know she said that we can't exploit the poor commoners, but she also said that we are not commoners. We belong to the capitalists. Yi Xian, Dao Ling frowned slightly. What do you mean by capitalists? Zhou Yu shook her head. I don't know. In any case, it doesn't mean that we are poor. From what I know, Miss Qin Guan has already sold this realm to many, many universes. In any case, she has plundered all the money of the top big shots. Yi Xian was speechless. This woman could really make money. Not to mention just selling her realm would probably make a lot of money. Zhou Yu suddenly said, Young Master Yi, I can give you 20,000 universe veins. These 20,000 universe veins are all of my personal wealth. As she said that, she took out a storage ring and placed it in front of Yi Xian. Yi Xian said seriously, How can I accept this? Zhou Yu was about to speak when Yi Xian suddenly took the storage ring and cupped his fists. Miss Zhou, thank you. Zhou Yu smiled slightly. Can I see young Master Ye's sword? Clearly this was a conditional exchange. Yi Xian smiled. Of course. As he said that, he handed the sword to Zhou Yu. After Zhou Yu looked at it for a moment, a complicated look flashed in her eyes. Good sword. As she said that, she returned the sword to Yi Xian. Dao Ling looked at Zhou Yu, hesitated, then said, Miss Zhou Yu, you are Miss Qin Guan's friend, and Miss Qin Guan is Brother Ye's friend, and I am Brother Ye's friend. In that case, we are also. Zhou Yu spread her hands. Young Master Dao Ling, I really don't have anything else. Dao Ling's expression froze. Yi Xian suddenly asked, Miss Zhou Yu, are there any other experts in the Shi clan? Zhou Yu nodded. There is one. You must be careful. It is also because of this person that our Zhou clan has not had any conflicts with the Shi clan. Otherwise, as she said that, she did not continue speaking. Yi Xian frowned slightly. Who? Zhou Yu said solemnly, Xianxia, the reason why the Shi clan could rise so quickly is because of this person. This person is the clan leader of the Shi clan 2 generations ago. He was the one who led the Shi clan to rise. If not for Shi Tian's appearance, this person would be the most monstrous existence in the Shi clan's history. Yi Xian said solemnly, the clan leader of the Shi clan 2 generations ago, is still alive? Zhou Yu nodded. He is definitely alive, but whether he is still in the heavenly cycle universe I do not know. Yi Xian asked, even the Zhou clan does not know? Zhou Yu nodded. We have investigated but found nothing. Yi Xian fell silent. Zhou Yu continued. Besides that, the Shi clan has another trump card, the ancestral soul. That ancestral soul was left behind by the Shi clan's first clan leader. In order to nurture this ancestral soul, the Shi clan has been continuously nurturing this ancestral soul in secret. Now this ancestral soul should have reached the time realm, and its strength is absolutely not to be underestimated. Yi Xian fell silent. At the side, Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then he said, Brother Yi, are we still going to annihilate this Shi clan? Zhou Yu looked at Yi Xian and he did not speak. After a short while Yi Xian smiled and said, Annihilate. As he spoke he looked at Dao Ling. Let's annihilate them together. Dao Ling said solemnly, Just the two of us? Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then he said, Why don't we let them go? Annihilating a clan is a bit cruel. Yi Xian fell silent. Let the Shi clan go? No such thing exists. And Xianxia had almost died at the hands of the Shi clan. Yi Xian stood up and left. Dao Ling and Zhou Yu were both stunned and Zhou Yu hurriedly asked, Brother Yi, where are you going? Yi Xian said, To annihilate the Shi clan. Zhou Yu, Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and then he stood up and followed. Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. We have no chance of winning. I'm not trying to fool you with this. Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian. I only have one request. Yi Xian frowned slightly. What is it? Dao Ling said seriously, don't sell me out when we fight. Yi Xian. Chapter 2239. He was really a little scared of some of Yi Xian's tricks. Yi Xian laughed. Let's go. As soon as he finished speaking, the two of them were about to leave. Meanwhile, Zhou Yu suddenly said, Young Master Yi, are you really going to annihilate the Shi clan? Yi Xian nodded. Zhou Yu hesitated for a moment and said, Forgive me for being blunt, but with your current strength, annihilating the Shi clan will be quite difficult. Yi Xian smiled. It's fine. We'll take it slow. If we can't annihilate them in a day, then we'll do it in 10 days. If we can't annihilate them in 10 days, then we'll do it in 10 years. One day we'll annihilate them. As soon as he finished speaking, he and Dao Ling vanished into the horizon. Zhou Yu fell silent. The Shi clan actually offended the two of them. If geniuses like Yi Xian and Dao Ling were to take revenge, then not to mention the Shi clan, even the Zhou clan would have a headache. The two of them would run if they couldn't win, cultivate for a few days and then come back to fight again. Who would be able to endure that? After a long time, Zhou Yu shook his head and left. The fact that Yi Xian and Dao Ling were taking revenge on the Shi clan was undoubtedly a good thing for the Zhou clan. No matter who won in the end, the Zhou clan just had to wait and see, and they would be able to reap the benefits. In the distant starry sky, Yi Xian and Dao Ling stopped, and then Yi Xian brought Dao Ling to Xiaota. Yi Xian and Dao Ling sat facing each other. They were exchanging battle experiences and thoughts. Yi Xian spoke in a low voice. What do you think about the battle with the Shi clan? Dao Ling pondered for a moment and said, The river of time is the key. Yi Xian nodded. Exactly as I thought. Time realm. Is the core time energy? Well, it's the river of time, just like the river of time. They're already able to touch the river of time, and it can be said to be the source of power for time realm experts. Because the time energy used by time realm experts is extracted from the river of time. Dao Ling suddenly said, The strength of a time realm powerhouse depends on how much time energy he can extract from the river of time. Even we are unfamiliar with the river of time. Unfamiliar. Yi Xian nodded. Although they had reached the time realm, they weren't extracting time power from the river of time. Rather, they were extracting time power from the river of time. Dao Ling suddenly said, My guess is that the river of time is like a huge ocean and cultivators are like the fish and prawns in the ocean. If we can enter the ocean, we will be able to obtain the power of the river of time. With that, the two of them looked at each other. In the next moment, the two of them left Xiaota and arrived at a starry sky. Both of them slowly closed their eyes and started to sense the river of time through the time energy. It didn't take long for both of them to sense the river of time. However, they were shocked to discover that the river of time was emitting a terrifying force. This force was so strong that even they didn't dare to approach it. The power of time. That was the power of time emitted by the river of time. At that moment, both of them were extremely shocked. Power. The power of time emitted by the river of time was too terrifying. It was many times stronger than their own power of time. The two of them looked at each other with shock in their eyes. Dao Ling suddenly smiled bitterly. It seems that we have to absorb the power of time from the river of time bit by bit. Only when we are strong enough can we try to enter the river of time. To do that, we will need at least a few hundred years. Yi Xian suddenly said, 800 years? Dao Ling nodded. Yi Xian shook his head and grabbed Dao Ling's shoulder. In the next moment, he and Dao Ling disappeared on the spot. In an instant, Yi Xian and Dao Ling ignored the terrifying power of time and entered the river of time. After entering the river of time, Dao Ling was dumbfounded. Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian and said with a trembling voice, Brother Yi, this. Then he suddenly looked at the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand and said, It's because of this sword, right? Yi Xian said with a straight face, No, it's because of me. Dao Ling's face darkened. Brother Yi, don't be like that. I'm not blind. Yi Xian was speechless. Dao Ling looked at the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand and sighed. Brother Yi, it is extremely difficult for ordinary people to enter the river of time. But you can easily enter the river of time. This is a bit too much. Yi Xian was about to speak, but Dao Ling suddenly laughed and said, But I like it, huh? Yi Xian was speechless. Dao Ling looked around. At that moment, he and Yi Xian were in the depths of the river of time. The river of time was so long that it seemed endless. In this long river, the power of time could only be described as terrifying. It was too terrifying. The bit of time energy they cultivated was simply insignificant when compared to the power of time within the river of time. Xian's right hand swept lightly through the battlefield. As his hand passed through the power of time, he had to admit that he was quite shocked. The power of time was truly terrifying. After the passage of time, it was the passage of time, and the passage of time had lasted for countless trillions of years. Dao Ling suddenly pointed towards the distance. "Brother Yi, look." Xian raised his head and looked into the distance. At the end of their field of vision, they saw some shadows within the river of time, and those shadows were walking through the river of time and moving towards the distance. Xian frowned slightly. "What's that?" Dao Ling shook his head. "I don't know." Xian thought for a moment and said, "Let's go and take a look." Dao Ling nodded. "All right." But he didn't move. Xian gazed at Dao Ling, but Dao Ling didn't speak. Xian was quite speechless. "Let's go." Dao Ling nodded. "All right." But he didn't move. Xian was speechless. Xiao Ta suddenly said, "Both of you are at the time realm at any rate, and you're amongst the supreme experts of the world. Do you have to be so cowardly?" Dao Ling hurriedly shook his head. "We have to keep a low profile." Before he attained the time realm, he felt that the time realm was very formidable. But after he attained the time realm, he realized that he was still very weak. Of course, the main reason was because of the sword that Xian's younger sister had given him. That sword had caused him to doubt his life. The slightest bit of arrogance he'd had was instantly extinguished by that sword. Meanwhile, Xian suddenly said, "Those shadows are quite strange." Dao Ling looked at those shadows and frowned slightly. Xian suddenly said, "Let's go." As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished on the spot. Dao Ling hurriedly followed him as well. It didn't take long for the two of them to arrive in front of that shadow. Meanwhile, the shadow had gradually condensed into a walking middle-aged man. But the two of them couldn't sense any aura from the middle-aged man at all. The middle-aged man walked into the distance. His gaze was calm and his steps were very steady. Xian suddenly said in a deep voice, "He's someone from the past. He's just left behind an illusion of himself in the river of time." "Someone from the past." Dao Ling frowned slightly. "Why do you say so?" Xian said, "I guessed." Dao Ling. At this moment, the middle-aged man suddenly stopped and turned to look at Xian and Dao Ling. Xian and Dao Ling's expressions changed slightly. Dao Ling hurriedly said, "Brother Yi, he's looking at us." Xian said in a deep voice, "He's looking at us from the past." The middle-aged man suddenly smiled and said, "Interesting." Xian looked at the middle-aged man. "Senior, am I right?" The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Yes. The me you see now belongs to the me from a very, very long time ago." Dao Ling was a little curious. "How long ago?" The middle-aged man smiled slightly. "It should be tens of billions of years ago." Dao Ling. The middle-aged man sized up Xian and Dao Ling and then he said, "The two of you are very outstanding. But under normal circumstances, the two of you shouldn't be able to enter the river of time." As he spoke, his gaze descended onto the green profound sword in Xian's hand. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw the green profound sword. In the next moment, his pupils constricted. "This?" Xian hesitated for a moment, and then he passed the green profound sword to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man looked at the green profound sword, and his gaze gradually became slightly dazed. A moment later he smiled bitterly. "How terrifying." Xian asked, "What's wrong?" The middle-aged man took a deep look at Xian. "My young friend, you're really not simple. You actually have such a peerless expert protecting you. I'm really envious." As she spoke, she paused for a moment and said, "The person who created this sword is a time immortal, right?" Xian frowned slightly. "A time immortal?" A trace of surprise flashed through the middle-aged man's eyes. "You don't know?" Xian nodded. "I don't." The middle-aged man smiled. "After traversing the mortal world and arriving at the other side, one is an immortal, a time immortal. Time immortals don't affect their bodies and their lifespan is endless." Xian fell silent. The middle-aged man asked, "The creator of this sword actually fused the power of time into the sword and suppressed the power of time." Such strength means that the Creator has surpassed the power of time. To be able to do this, I believe only a time immortal would be able to do it. Yi Xian shook his head. She probably isn't a time immortal. A trace of surprise flashed through the middle-aged man's eyes. She isn't? Yi Xian nodded. She doesn't cultivate. The middle-aged man fell silent for a moment before he said, No. Yi Xian gazed at the middle-aged man and the middle-aged man spoke softly. Realm is just a name. She doesn't cultivate because she has already broken free of this restriction. Yi Xian frowned slightly. Break free of the restriction? The middle-aged man smiled. Actually, we are constantly breaking free of the restriction throughout our lives. What is the restriction? It is the various rules, restrictions and restraints. Yi Xian hesitated for a moment before he said, I've broken free of many restrictions as well. The middle-aged man shook his head and smiled. Yi Xian bowed slightly. Please guide me, senior. The middle-aged man smiled. Even a time immortal is still within the restriction. If you can't break free of fate and karma, if you can't break free of space and universe, if you can't break free of time and samsara, if you can't break free of creation and heaven and earth, you will forever be within the restriction. Yi Xian frowned slightly. How do I break free? The middle-aged man was quite helpless. If I knew, why would I be wasting time with you? Is it fun? Yi Xian, the middle-aged man suddenly said, Young friend, can I have a look at your sword? Yi Xian smiled. Of course. As he spoke, he handed the sword to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man took the sword and the next moment he disappeared with the green profound sword. Yi Xian and Dao Ling were dumbfounded. The two looked at each other and then said in unison, F***ck. Ran away. Have I been F***king tricked? Yi Xian had a mental breakdown. Chapter 2240. Needless to say, Yi Xian and Dao Ling were truly dumbfounded. They really ran away. How could this be? Damn it. Neither of them had expected that the middle-aged man who seemed like a nice guy would actually lie. How careless. However, both of them were puzzled. Wasn't he someone from the past? How could he take the sword away? They didn't have time to think about it. Because once the sword was gone, they couldn't resist the energy of time any longer, and it was about to destroy them. They hurriedly left the river of time. After they left, their bodies had actually rotted away. Both of them broke out in cold sweat when they witnessed this scene. We were almost finished. Meanwhile, Dao Ling suddenly spoke solemnly. How shameless of you to play dirty. How utterly shameless. Yi Xian's expression was quite unsightly as well. Damn it. He hadn't expected them to play dirty right away. What the hell? How could they be so shameless? Dao Ling suddenly said, Brother Yi, what do we do now? Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, Let me take a look first. As he spoke, he slowly closed his eyes. It was time to sense the sword. A short moment later, Yi Xian's expression was quite unsightly. Because he noticed that he couldn't sense the sword at all. Perhaps it was too far away. Yi Xian's expression was gloomy. Dao Ling suddenly said, Brother Yi, do you have a way? Yi Xian shook his head. We can't defeat that bastard. Since he was able to move freely through the river of time, it was obvious that his strength was absolutely terrifying. Yi Xian fell silent for a short moment before he said, We have to get help. Dao Ling asked, Who? Yi Xian spoke solemnly, Miss Qing Guan. He still didn't want to get help from Qing. He felt bad for troubling Qing Er for something like this. Moreover, it wouldn't be easy to clean up the mess if Qing Er showed up. Yi Xian withdrew the Dark Heaven token and activated it. It didn't take long for the token to tremble slightly, and then space before him split apart before an old man walked out. It was still that masked old man. The masked old man glanced at Yi Xian. Young master, what's the matter? He was actually a little afraid of Yi Xian. Some of the things this guy did were really inhumane. Yi Xian smiled. I want to talk to Miss Qing Guan. The masked old man thought for a moment before nodding. All right. After saying that, he opened his palm and a white light suddenly flew up. Soon a screen appeared in the sky and a virtual image appeared. The virtual image gradually solidified and soon Qing Guan appeared on the screen. At that moment, Qing Guan was standing on an unknown island. Not too far away from him sat an old man. Next to the old man was a woman who had appeared before. She was none other than the woman who had held the sickle. The three seemed to be discussing something. Qin Guan suddenly turned her head. When she saw Yi Xian, she was slightly surprised, and then she smiled and said, "Young Master Yi, what's the matter?" The woman with the sickle and the old man were also looking at Yi Xian, and their eyes were filled with curiosity. Yi Xian said seriously, "Qin Guan, I need your help with something." Qin Guan smiled. "What is it?" Yi Xian explained what had happened. After hearing Yi Xian's words, Qin Guan frowned slightly. "In the river of time?" Yi Xian nodded. Qin Guan thought for a moment and said, "It should be a time walker." Yi Xian's brows knit together slightly. "A time walker?" Qin Guan nodded. "A group of ancient cultivators. They walk through the passage of time. They aren't at the time realm, but they've grasped the energy of time. They're a group of cultivators that have existed for a very long time. They don't pay attention to their cultivation, and they specialize in studying the river of time. All those who attain the Permitha realm are called time immortals." When she spoke up to this point, she gazed at Yi Xian. "Do you know what that person looks like?" Yi Xian nodded, and then he waved his right hand lightly. The middle-aged man's appearance appeared before him. Qin Guan glanced at the middle-aged man and said, "Wait a moment for me." As soon as she finished speaking, she turned around to gaze at the woman with the sickle and the old man. "I'm going to do something. Wait for me. Is that all right?" The woman with the sickle grinned. "Pavilion Master Qin Guan, do you need help?" "I can help you fight for free." Qin Guan thought for a moment and said, "All right." As soon as she finished speaking, she opened her palm, and a spatial ring appeared before the woman with the sickle. There were 300,000 universe veins within the spatial ring. 300,000 universe veins. The woman's eyelids twitched when she witnessed this scene, and she hurriedly put the spatial ring away. "Thank you, Pavilion Master Qin Guan." Meanwhile, the old man suddenly slapped the table. "How presumptuous! You actually dared to bully Pavilion Master Qin's friend. Pavilion Master Qin, I'll help you fight for free as well. Moreover, I'm willing to fight until my last breath for Pavilion Master Qin's friend." Qin Guan grinned. "Thank you." As soon as she finished speaking, she opened her palm, and a spatial ring flew over to the old man. It was 300,000 universe veins as well. The old man hurriedly put it away, and he was quite excited. Experts like them needed universe veins like how ordinary people in the mortal world needed air. They were indispensable. But universe veins were truly too difficult to obtain. The formation of a universe vein represented a universe. So, if they wanted to obtain universe veins, they had to ceaselessly travel about. Meanwhile, Qin Guan suddenly said, "Let's go." As soon as they finished speaking, the three of them vanished on the spot. When they reappeared, they were in front of Yi Xian and Dao Ling. Qin Guan smiled. "Let's go. Let's go find him." As soon as she finished speaking, she led Yi Xian and Dao Ling into the river of time. After they entered the river of time, a Tai Chi diagram appeared beneath Yi Xian and Dao Ling's feet. Under the protection of the Tai Chi diagram, the two of them actually disregarded the surrounding energy of time. As for the old man and the woman with the sickle, they actually disregarded the surrounding energy of time as well. Under Qin Guan's lead, they walked towards the distance. Yi Xian was suddenly curious. "Qin Guan, what's that beneath our feet?" Qin Guan said, "A Tai Chi circle." Yi Xian frowned slightly. "A Tai Chi circle?" Qin Guan nodded. "I created it myself. As of now, its defense is considered to be the second best in the entire universe." Dao Ling suddenly asked, "What's the first?" Qin Guan smiled. "The body of the Milky Way's area. Her body can't be broken without 3 swords. Even if it's 3 swords, she can still withstand 1 sword without dying." Dao Ling was a little puzzled. "Miss Qin Guan, what are the 3 swords?" Qin Guan glanced at Yi Xian, smiled. "His sister, his father, and his big brother." Yi Xian was speechless. Dao Ling's expression froze. He gulped, then turned to look at Yi Xian. "Brother Yi, are you a second-generation heir?" Yi Xian said calmly, "No." Dao Ling was speechless. Qin Guan suddenly smiled. "Young Master Yi, you're walking faster than I imagined. I can't believe you're able to come into contact with the river of time so quickly. I have to say your speed is pretty good." Yi Xian smiled. "Qin Guan, what have you been busy with recently?" Qin Guan blinked. "Some things. It's not convenient for me to tell you." Yi Xian was speechless. At this time, the woman with the sickle suddenly said, Pavilion Master Qin, we have to be careful. Qin Guan looked at the woman with the sickle, and the woman with the sickle said in a deep voice, "These time cultivators are not simple and they all have strange tempers." Qin Guan smiled, "It's okay. We'll use peaceful means before resorting to force." The woman with the sickle glanced at Qin Guan, then nodded slightly. Soon they saw an ancient city at the end of their sight. Xian frowned, "There's a city here?" Qin Guan smiled, "This river of time is equivalent to a universe. Moreover, not all places in this river of time are filled with the power of time. Cities can be built in places without the power of time." Xian nodded slightly, "I see." Qin Guan and the others arrived at the city, and at this time an old man in a gray robe suddenly appeared in front of Xian and the others. The old man glanced at Qin Guan and the others. "What's up?" Qin Guan smiled, "I'm looking for someone." The old man's face was expressionless. "The person you're looking for is not here." Xian pulled Qin Guan's sleeve and then said, "They don't know you?" Qin Guan rolled his eyes at Xian. "I'm very low-key." Xian, Qin Guan looked at the old man and smiled, "Someone here took my friend's sword. You ask him to return it and apologize and I'll call the shots on this matter." The old man looked at Qin Guan, "Leave immediately if you don't want to die." Qin Guan suddenly pulled out a gun, then pulled the trigger. Bang! A ray of white light surged out. The old man's pupils constricted and he hurriedly raised his arms to block it. Rumble! A ray of white light exploded and the old man retreated explosively. As he retreated, his body was obliterated inch by inch and it was completely gone by the time he reached the city wall. Moreover, his soul was extremely illusory. This shot had almost obliterated him. The woman with the sickle and the old man gulped and there was a trace of shock in their eyes. Damn it. This Pavilion Master Qin is quite terrifying. After all, he's a time cultivator. He was almost killed by a single shot just like that. At this moment the old man was completely stunned. His body is gone. Qin Guan spoke indifferently from afar, "Geezer, be polite." The old man was speechless. Meanwhile, Qin Guan pointed his gun at the old man. "Where's that person? Ask him to come out." The old man hurriedly said, "Who is he?" Qin Guan turned to gaze at Xian. Xian hesitated for a moment before he said, "Can't you condense an image?" Qin Guan glared at Xian. "I've told you many times. I don't cultivate. I don't have any strength at all." All of them almost had a mental breakdown when they heard this. "Fuck. You don't cultivate. You're even more terrifying than cultivating." Xian was quite speechless as well. He waved his right hand and the middle-aged man's appearance appeared here. The old man was first stunned when he saw the middle-aged man and then he said, "Everyone, he isn't in our city." Qin Guan frowned slightly. "He isn't in your city?" The old man hurriedly nodded. "Yes. He's in Time City and he's quite a distance away from us." Qin Guan glanced at the old man, and then he put his gun away with slight displeasure. "Since he isn't here, then why are you being so fierce?" The old man hesitated for a moment and then his voice trembled. "I didn't know you were so formidable." All of them were speechless. P.S. Can you not use vulgarities when you're insulting others? You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.